people's different beliefs, but it's all one and the same. That's kind of what you're saying.
Right, just different expressions of the same thing.
I get it now.
Welcome to P3, everybody.
Welcome.
We were just talking about the Archons here.
Archons.
We got Claude with us again today. It's going to be a good day.
Hello.
Mommy Gabe isn't here to babysit us and tell us what not to do, so...
Yeah. We can actually have a pretty decent conversation about the good shit now.
Yeah, and we don't even know what we're gonna fucking talk about. Too much freedom could be a bad thing, I guess. I could just prove my own ideology wrong here.
Yeah.
Where are the Archons from, though?
Where the Archons from? Okay, because on one level, the Archons are representative of an energy wave, of an energy field. Right? Like frequency. That's what I'm talking about. So I think when the Gnostics were talking about the Archons, they were referring to that frequency band in which is sort of like evil energy. I'm doing the air quotes thing, by the way. So it's not necessarily beings or deities that are doing this. It's just a representation of bad in a story or a mythological aspect, like how our ancestors did it.
Just give me a rundown of what the fuck you're talking about, because I probably know it as a different terminology.
You don't know what the Archons are?
Again, I probably do, but I probably know it by a different name.
So the Gnostics wrote about the Demiurge, which is the head Archon. It's the same hierarchy as any other religion, right? As far as like the devil and the demons and so on and so forth. This is what the Gnostics wrote about, that the Demiurge isn't isn't the head creator, right? But he is the head evil guy in the aspect of well, let me say this. They don't have the creative juices like we do. Like what the other side has. You know what I'm saying? So anything that they do is a copy and manipulation of something that already exists.
So they're basically just a reflection of something that's already taking place.
Right. Now, the Archons and the Demiurge can be expressed biologically if we're talking about the lizards, right?
Okay, so you're just talking about like the masculine energy frequency.
Right.
Like the logical, analytical side of it.
Right, thank you. I'm so glad Caleb's here again today. Are you guys following us?
Yeah. We're right here.
A little bit, yeah.
So, our whole metaphor of the different tiered thought systems, right? Like planes of thought.
Like the densities? Or?
Well, on like how we explain shit. Like politics is like down here.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're arguing down here, you're missing everything up above it that makes it like this down here.
You use densities too.
Densities, well, it is dimensional.
Yeah, the second and third density.
Different planes of reality and
right. It's all
frequencies.
And if it sounds like this is all just kind of muddied in together, well, it is, because that's where we get sacred geometry and shit from too.
Muddy puddles.
Oh, I'm working on a muddy puddle right now.
I'm trying to stomp one right now. Santos Bonacci actually talks about that, about the planes of frequency like that.
Yeah, Santos Bonacci is really interesting to listen to.
Yeah, he is, seriously.
If I'm right, in the third dimension, we can only go up to the fourth density, because going into the fifth density or the fifth plane of thought, you're stepping into a non-physical reality. So we can only go so far in our physical existence with it.
Right, because even us talking about this, it stays physical only to a certain point. Mm-hmm. And then the spiritual or the metaphysical aspects have to come in order to further explain the point.
The non-physical side of it.
Right. And that's where everybody gets fucked up, is because everybody thinks that we're just, on one side we're just monkeys that are just here by chance flying on a rock. And we are in one aspect.
Definitely.
But also at the same time, purple pill, right? It's a little bit of this, it's a little bit of that.
The easiest way for people to be able to grasp non-physical sides of things is using things that we have every day. Gravity. Tell me what gravity looks like, please. Like,
It's probably in the shape of a phallic symbol.
well, yeah, wind. Like, we can't see wind. Like, we have all these non-physical things that occur in our everyday life, and we think nothing of it. But it's simply just proof that there is a non-physical side to reality.
Right, true laws of nature,
Yes.
actual laws.
Yeah, you can go back and we covered all that in our hermetic and quantum episodes, because it's all just the same thing. We've been talking about the same thing for thousands of years, and then like Austin, for example, with the archons and shit, if you're thinking about it as a separate thing, it makes it that much harder to comprehend or to begin to comprehend, because we're not going to be able to comprehend it fully. But once you realize it's all just expressions of the same thing, then that gets a lot of the trouble out of the way, because you're not focusing in on minute details that don't even matter, like what we call shit.
Stop looking at the differences between things and look at the similarities between things, and then it'll start to make sense.
So, David, the archon thing, or Caleb, right? You don't know what the archons and shit are. This is a shit David
I got a
Icke
good
talks
idea
about.
of what you're
Right.
going with, so yeah.
Now, when I think of the archons in the physical, I think of the lizards, right? The Alpha Draconians. Because look at what they're doing as far as Hollywood and shit like that goes today, is they keep doing all these remakes and they're shitty because they can't think of anything new. And that's the way I look at it anyway.
The best part of your obsessions with the lizards is that you literally are creating the lizards because of your belief in it.
It's a vicious cycle, right?
It is.
It is. So it's like them existing in one way or another, whether it be in the physical or in my head, actually makes that kind of a reality.
Yes.
Is what Caleb's
your
saying.
thoughts and beliefs shape your reality. So with Justin believing the lizard people, which I'll agree with him on the lizard people.
A lot of people do now.
Yeah,
It's
a lot
2021,
of people
baby.
do. But
We're fucking lizards, bro.
him talking about it and thinking about it, he is giving power to it, and it creates an illusion or a reflection into our physical reality of it for him.
Now, the other side of that coin is also, if we choose to ignore it and not acknowledge it, they are able to do what they want freely, if they do exist, biologically.
Well, even if we didn't believe that they exist, it doesn't take away the validity that they can also exist.
Right.
Even if they don't exist.
Oh, shit, I just had something. Also, at the same time, silence is complacency. This is the whole Ouroboros, the Viking snake eating its tail, the Midgard serpent. This is the infinity symbol. This is everything that all these ancient symbols is referring to this, because it's always coming back and going away and coming back from itself.
The pendulum.
The pendulum of Hermeticism. It's all this at one time. That's what time is. And we covered that in quantum physics, how time is relative and it doesn't really exist unless you're actively perceiving it. You know, time flies when you're not having fun. Or time flies when you are having fun. Sorry. Might hit the wrong a couple too many times. Anyways.
So, Caleb, I get your point where you, like, our thoughts create our reality, but how come I can't just think David's not paraplegic from his chest down and that happens then? That's kind of where I'm confused about
I'd
the
like to
whole
know
thing.
that too, bud.
You know what? Me three, motherfucker, all right?
Okay, so in our third dimensional reality, we have limitations set in place for this reality to simply exist in such a physical manner. So we put limitations on ourselves, like, moving, walking, using our hands, any of our, motor functions or our fine motor functions or any of these things. Or we also do it with, like, languages. We do it with our ability to learn. We put an endless amount of these limitations, or beliefs, if you will, on ourselves and our reality. So with that belief set so deeply into us, you can't simply go, Dave can walk. But in theory, if you had enough people all resonating at a certain vibrational frequency, and they focus that to shift your version of reality to a reality where you could walk, it could happen. We see it with miracle healings, like Justin getting touched in the church. Like, so
or as our fans know, I got jerked off in church. But,
Yes.
Same shit.
So I guess the answer to my question is the only thing that limits you from being able to change this physical reality is simply your belief that you can't change your physical reality.
Also, if it
I
was
hope
just
that makes
dependent,
sense.
if it was just dependent on your reality, if David wasn't in a wheelchair, that's one thing. But it's also his reality that's making it this way. It's also my reality that's making it this way. His reality, and therefore it's going to find its equilibrium in the majority of, okay, if we're all perceiving this, then, well, that's where a lot of mental illnesses and shit come from. Right? So, like, you're not perceiving everybody else's collective reality the same way. It's almost like your personal reality overrides a collective in a way, and in some ways. It's just varying degrees depending on the mental illness, right?
Yes, that's a big part of it, but I also think a big part of it is the definitions and terminologies that we use to dictate what mental disorders are.
Oh, there we go again. Fucking words. Words ruin everything.
That's if you look into occult magic and things like that. Yeah, a lot of it is words. So, do I think that a schizophrenic person is someone that needs to be locked away and heavily medicated for long periods of time? No. Do I think that they simply need to understand what is occurring in their own mind and then be able to work with it to overcome it in a way and possibly use it for something? Yes.
Like some psychedelics or something.
And even everybody around them, how they perceive schizophrenia. Because Caleb was diagnosed schizophrenic at an early age. How old were you? You're like 12 or 13, right?
I think I was 14.
And what's the definition of that?
Schizophrenia goes in several different ways, but it's mainly hearing voices, having hallucinations, things like that. But again, with most mental disorders, sometimes it's really bad and sometimes it's not. But I got into studying Carl Jung and spirituality and understanding what the hell was actually going on in my head. And yeah, I live a normal life. I mean, I also have depression, ADHD, whatever, but I don't look at it like, I need to be medicated. I'm really fucked up in the head.
Poor me.
Yeah. No, it is what it is. I'm just going to keep going.
And
Whatever.
we've known Caleb for so long that shit, we were with you like every day during that whole phase whenever you were first diagnosed and all that shit came up. And this was way before we had dove headfirst into the rabbit hole that is, metaphysics and all this other shit. Caleb's the one that got us all in it. So he's the origin point for a lot of our friend group.
That's a big part of mental illness. You can believe me or not believe me, I don't really care. But if your mind is working differently, you are more connected to the non-physical reality of things. You are more in tune with some other frequency because the frequencies in your brain aren't acting in accordance to our third dimension.
Because you're tuning out
Yeah.
the collective
So,
reality.
Learn to use it.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well,
And what he's also like clinically retarded too, I think, right? Or you're on the spectrum, right?
Okay, so I have I have 4-year-old twins, and my son has autism. And through watching him and like the things that he does, and I'm just like, oh God, I did the exact same
completely
stuff.
get it,
Like the kid's brilliant, I absolutely love him. Yeah,
He's an awesome
he's
kid.
wonderful. But I'm just like, do I have autism?
Why do I see
What,
myself
didn't
in
you
here?
go for? It was
What?
like hyper awareness or some shit. That's what I was talking about.
Oh, what with my ADHD?
Yeah, what you were telling me you were. Your therapist has said you were suffering from like hyper awareness,
Oh yeah, so
and then it's technically on the autism spectrum.
yeah, that was my.
So that's why I
last
call him a
therapist.
retard.
But autistic people are brilliant. It's wonderful.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, like when you have ADHD or hardcore ADHD, especially as adults, like your ability to hyper focus or hyper fixate on things increases. So like 90% of the time, I have no idea what's going on. I'm just all over the place. But there's 10% of the time where whatever I'm doing, I am like
into it.
in it, and if you come anywhere near me, I might just like throw something because I don't want you interrupting what I'm doing at this moment. Like,
Well,
please no.
World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
RuneScape.
What's your favorite race?
On World of Warcraft,
Yeah.
it depends on the class. I like humans and I like night elves for the alliance, but on the horde, I like my trolls and my blood elves. A lot of the new allied races are pretty cool, but fuck them.
Fucking nerds.
Dude, World of Warcraft's the shit. I haven't played in years, but this shit was fun.
Dude, I just started playing
It's
Skyrim.
gone downhill.
I started playing Skyrim, so I'm a dark elf who's a werewolf. And I'm a part of the Vampire Hunter Guild, plus I'm trying to bang the vampire.
Fucking nerd.
Yeah, dude, I'm trying to smash on this vampire bitch, all right?
I know, that's right. Fuck. I watched many hours of that WoW on fucking Klopp's computer.
Have you guys gotten to the vampire definition of energy draining and sucking the life out of people and where all that came from? No? Okay, we'll save that
I don't
for
even
later.
think, no, I don't think we've talked about it. Go ahead.
Okay, so we get vampires from all kinds of lore and stuff where they, suck blood and, drain people dry.
Nosferatu.
Yeah, well, a lot of it comes from people's ability to drain energy from one another, and we do it all.
Just like the
Yeah,
9/11
the hand movements.
memorials like we had talked about.
Yeah, so we do it all the time, just walking around, whatever.
Dude's
and we-
fucking hair is-
yeah.
You don't like my hair, dude?
Dude, it's, just,
I was so
You mean
it's
put the hat back
beautiful.
on?
It's just it bouncing around with your headphones on. It's a hilarious image.
I didn't know if you were giving them the claw, if you were
I was trying to
giving them
take
the
energy
Kamehameha.
from him.
I didn't know what was happening.
I was trying to take energy from him.
Oh, fuck.
I didn't feel anything.
All right, sorry, Claude.
We can get into the hand movements later.
Succubus. Joking me.
It's a quick to and fro motion.
So,
we're
anyways,
working it.
like, if you ever meet somebody just like sucks the energy out of you, like just being around them is a horrible experience for you. That's where the definition of like a vampire comes from. Someone who drains the life force out of you, that energy.
Yikes.
Well, and that's the whole reason why in movies it's the blood, because the blood has always been considered the life of a human, the life force.
These motherfuckers need some vitamin D.
Dude, we were watching The Strain. Have you guys seen The Strain?
No.
You
We have
guys
not.
got to watch The Strain. It's so good. But that's basically what I said to Jamie yesterday. Because they were all fucking getting burnt in the sun. So I was like, man, these motherfuckers need some vitamin D. Shut the fuck up.
Some fucking sun lotion.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Where were you going with the vampire thing? Were you
Nothing.
leading
That
to
was
some-
just a random tidbit.
Nice.
So is that what they mean, like when they say reptilian vampires, like
Yes.
energy sucking?
Yes.
All right, I get you.
Now, how the YouTube conspiracy guy presents a lot of this shit is overly dramatized.
Cellmates in jail cells, because a cell is a battery that needs to be charged, and what I don't know.
See, the dogs don't even know what you're talking about.
Nope.
They know. They know.
Okay, but
And we're live.
oh my god, don't yell like that. Jesus Christ.
Oh, come
But
on, girl.
Like
were
what
you
I was saying, the YouTube conspiracy people, they over dramatize and, kind of over fantasize the whole situation. But they are right when they do say the reptilian vampires, because they are draining our energy. They are feeding off of it. But it's also put in a way that makes it sound like Lord of the Rings or, some crazy shit.
Succubus type shit.
But also, you got like adrenochrome shit. So
Right.
how you get what I'm saying? Like it could go both ways, I guess.
Well-
They could be over exaggerating, but also there is that theory that they are taking that shit.
Right. There is
From
that
kids.
chance. they
I think
are.
it's not so much of a theory as it used
Well,
to be anymore.
okay, yeah.
But I don't even know. Anyways, whatever the fuck that was. Now they are right in a way, because the adrenochrome stuff is more of like a physical. It's a physical manifestation of what is also non-physical. So they're also consuming our
Energy as well
physically as well as spiritually. And that's, it's just different cultures explaining the different things. Now, the adrenochrome and blood sucking and, drinking blood and all this other shit, there's been people in high positions consuming, cannibalizing people and drinking their blood for hundreds of thousands of years, you know, whichever one it may be. Who's that princess who used to bathe in blood? You guys know who I'm talking about?
Pocahontas?
No, was it Pocahontas? Did she do that shit?
I don't
Oh
know.
shit! No, it was like some queen over in Europe, long time ago. She used to bathe in blood.
I think I know what you're
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And the whole thing was she thought it kept her youthful.
Remember that?
So they're telling you all this shit.
Have you ever seen Hostel?
No, I have not.
One of them, there's like this bitch that bathes in blood. Look at it like this. So, on their physical level, they need the blood for their physical self. And then they also need the energy. That's where like the non-physical aspect comes in. Does that kind of...
Go ahead.
Okay, so if we're talking about lizard people and the spiritual side of it, they have completely severed their connection from source or the all or whatever. So they have no connection to that non-physical energy that we need to even actually sustain ourselves. So when they're taking the adrenochrome from children, when we are born, we are still fully connected to the non-physical side of reality. So when you're taking it from a child, you were taking that non-physical essence from them.
It's like the pure energy.
Yeah, the
manifestation
pure
of a
consciousness, pure
consciousness.
energy of it. And it's the same with like draining our energy. Our energy is needed to sustain ourselves here in physical reality. So they're taking that so that they can sustain themselves here still.
Now the whole why we call it indoctrination camps and, you know, school is that even us as parents, we have to indoctrinate them into this lower vibrational state in order to survive in the lower vibrational state. So we're doing the exact same thing, just on different sides of the scale, right? And now the government all governments ultimately run by the lizards, right? They set up curriculums to do that in certain ways, and also to make it extreme, right?
To lower our vibration.
Exactly. Because that's what they thrive in. If there's more lower vibrational energy, that's more energy that they can use to convert and manifest a reality that they want.
The lower vibrational energy is easier to manipulate and do with what they want. So, like, yeah, that's why in schools, like, when we get history classes, we get our side of history here in America. We don't get the full side.
Well, not even that.
Yeah, we don't
right?
even get all of it.
Yeah.
And it's why we don't learn about, doing taxes or, anything that's actually going to help us succeed in life, because they want us to stay in that suffering, struggling position.
Lower vibration.
Yeah, forever.
Well, and that's also why the system itself is so hard to deal with, as far as your taxes, as far as getting tickets, but it makes it harder to navigate through the system. It's purposefully done like that to keep you within it, because if you miss a court date, then you have to pay fines, and then you have to or do jail time, but that's kind of like on the extreme as far as why you're at court and shit. But if you miss a traffic ticket, you got to pay more fines. If you're late, you got to pay fines. So they want you to purposefully be behind, because that keeps the money flowing in. And if your money is a representation of your energy, that's on one plane how they're harnessing your energy. Is even if they're taking your money and your time, that's your energy ultimately.
It's like any time that you have to deal with the government, they just want it to be the most miserable experience that you possibly can. Like, I'm going to give you a really good example. Going to the DMV, plain and simple, that is the most miserable time anybody can have, period.
The absolute worst.
Well, and then ultimately they're fucking having you pay to use something that you own. So it's a whole control system. That's what we're trying to tell you. They try to control every aspect of your life, and tell me that sounds like a fucking abusive boyfriend or a girlfriend, right? Everybody who defends the fucking system will also sit there and tell you, if you have an abusive spouse, to leave them and do all this other shit. Logical consistency, motherfucker. That's all we're asking. Just take a look at it objectively. what they're doing. They abuse you and steal from you, and they still got you sitting here defending them. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Just
Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah, just take some time and, figure out how to, get your mind to be silent and in its natural state. And then just, kind of take a gander at what the hell's actually going on, and you might see it.
What one person calls daydreaming, we probably call meditation.
Yeah.
To be honest. Silence the brain for a minute.
Right, and I know we've talked about it, but you don't have to sit there in cross-legged position in a dark, silent room with candles burning in order to meditate. You can
Candles are nice.
Candles are nice.
They do smell good. But you can meditate doing anything that you love ultimately. Like my meditation is when I'm at the gym because I'm not thinking about anything while I'm at the gym. I'm just lifting weights. That's all I'm worried about. Listening to music, lifting weights. My mind is silent. I'm sure it's the same for you, right? In a way, it's kind of like a meditation.
Not really.
All right, that was a bad example. Jesus Christ.
You're on the right track, though. We define meditation as, having to sit still and, quiet your mind. And, no, meditation is a tool. It is a practice. So when you have things where you are in the zone, doesn't matter if you're playing video games or coloring a picture and you're just super in it, you are in a meditative state. You are in a state where you are at one with your own mind. There is no outside influence affecting you at that moment. That is the definition of meditation that you need to have.
Right.
Get you back to that baseline where you're living in the moment and you're happy within the moment. And that's all you really need to do. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be sitting down with your eyes closed, oming and, all sorts of shit. That helps. You can do it that way. It's the easiest way.
Yeah, I build countertops at work a lot, just flake countertops for hospitals and all kinds of stuff. And
just like Jesus did.
yeah, I absolutely love it. I get in it and I am in the zone and I am just perfectly happy slapping these wood pieces together and doing stuff. It's great.
Day go by quick.
How did we get here? You were talking about the vampire.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah, we were talking about vampires and shit. Okay, now we digress. But I know it took us a while to get here, but does that answer your question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what they mean by the whole vampire reptilian cult type shit.
I got to throw in that doing meditation and practicing spiritual stuff can help protect you from all of that.
Breath work.
Mm-hmm. It helps fortify your own consciousness.
Your Merkaba or your
Merkaba,
electromagnetic
that's exactly what I was
field
gonna say.
that surrounds your body, that is anywhere from an inch to about 26 meters in diameter, depending on what you're doing with life.
The larger it is, that just means your peak enlightenment is what the whole.
A good example is you ever been in a room and some random person walks in and the entire energy of the entire room just shifts? Their aura or their electromagnetic field affected the room and everyone felt it.
Right.
Now, you can also do this on purpose. If people who are, you look like you're about to shit on yourself, Austin.
I was trying to change the energy, bro.
But now, somebody who's conscious of it and is able to do it consciously, they can fuck around and change the energies of the room however they want.
Motivational speakers,
Right, David.
Inspirational speakers and stuff like that.
channelers.
But yeah, that's the Draconians, bro. Oh, he's been putting a big old pincher in right now.
Yeah, buddy.
Jesus Christ.
Tell you what.
You don't have Crocs on, so that's a fucking step in the right direction.
I'm only rocking those when fucking Gabe's here.
Yeah, I would too.
Well, were you guys talking about TikTok earlier?
Ooh.
You guys were mentioning something about TikTok.
All the conspiracy shit's on TikTok.
There's so much.
Conspiracy and spiritual shit, right?
That's
Yep,
wild.
there's a lot. That's pretty much all my TikTok.
Have they said anything about Dubai yet? Has there been any videos about
Oh,
Dubai? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys don't know, Dubai, they're making it rain over there right now.
Yeah.
They're manufacturing weather. I don't give a fuck what they say. Now, conspiracy people have been talking about this for fucking decades, weather modification. And
That
now
shit was
they're
like
talking
when I
about
was
it
in
the
high
evening
school.
news.
Like
Yeah.
fucking 2012, I was reading about this shit.
That's HARP, right?
HARP, yeah.
Since the 70s, at least, they've admitted it, right?
Right. And they tell you all these Doppler radars are for reading the weather, but if you actually see what they use, they're much smaller. They don't need that big of fucking satellites to tell you what the weather is. But the bigger the satellite is to control all that fucking aluminum, boron, whatever chemtrail mixture that they've been putting in the skies, which they now admit they have been doing. So chemtrails are no longer a conspiracy.
Weather is just energy. That's it.
Oh, here we fucking go.
Dude, everything comes back to energy. You know it. Shut the fuck up. But yes, it has all the other shit in it, but at the end of the day, it's still just energy moving about.
Atoms.
Because everything's energy. That's what it all boils down to.
Different levels of frequency.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, TikTok, that shit is crazy. Just go look up spirituality on TikTok and just sit there for an hour. It's a great time.
I don't have a TikTok.
You should get one.
Isn't that the Chinese shit?
It's the devil.
Isn't that the China spyware shit that was supposedly getting banned?
At this point, does it matter? I mean, they're already tracking everything we do.
But that's it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Fucking China.
Still some good shit on there.
Oh, I bet. That's how they keep it relevant. Well, I guess they've already got everything plotted out, right? Because of Pokemon Go.
Yeah, fuck TikTok, but everyone wanted to fucking play or whatever. Fuck
Pokemon
Go. Show them where you go every fucking day. But
Give them a little camera for everything you
Yeah,
do.
they've already got every house in America plotted out. The exact map of how they're going to kidnap you.
look at this retard trying to catch Pikachu. I see his whole fucking family's house right now.
Oh, did you finish Space Jam? Have you guys seen the new Space Jam?
Yeah, I have.
Holy shit.
I haven't watched like the last hour of it.
Holy
Same.
shit.
It was just, it got kind of annoying. I'm
Oh.
the king. Man, you are not ever going to be better than Michael Jordan. Just suck it up and accept
Dude,
it.
I don't give a fuck if you got 20 rings. You're still not going to be better than Michael Jordan.
We're going to get Michael Jordan. Okay, we lied, but we got Michael B. Jordan.
Dude, that was so
That shit
fucking
was funny, though.
hilarious. That shit was hilarious. Have you seen that part? All the tunes are like, we found Michael Jordan. We found Michael Jordan. And they show like this figure wearing Jordans, right? He's like walking down the hallway to the locker room. And as soon as he gets in the line, it's Michael B. Jordan. And LeBron's like, that's Michael B. Jordan. What the fuck?
Oh, shit. That's awesome.
It was pretty funny.
LeBron's my guy, though, so
Man,
fuck all of you.
When Sarah Silverman's like, the algorithm gave me a new idea.
Dude, it's
Type of
so
thi-
symbolic. That movie is so symbolic.
And how like ideas come in waves. Ideas just come and go. They flow.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's energy that anybody can have the same idea all around the world.
That's why we have
many
the collective. All
Yeah.
of our information is constantly cycling through all of us
And
at any given time.
Now, off the collective, because what Dave was referring to is when everybody's pulled into the cyberverse, right? But that's how they control it. That's how they control the collective, is by narrative. They tell you that, oh, you're just watching a game. But really you're not. They're controlling mass populations. Crazy. And, and sucking your energy. They're sucking off your energy, bro.
Just sucking it off.
Archons, let's go. Fire away. I'm trying to get Austin to open up a little bit, spread his legs a little bit for me.
No, I'm curious about the 369
Damn, she's fine.
and Nikola Tesla.
I don't know much about that. I've been seeing it pop up here lately, but I haven't.
Okay, I'm going to absolutely fucking butcher this just so everybody knows.
Wait, Trinity.
That's part of it.
Okay.
So if you take a circle and you start cutting it into like, how you like make a pie and you cut it and shit.
Yeah, we know about pi.
Yeah, every single time you do that, it adds up to 3, 6, or 9 degrees, or 90 degrees, or 60 degrees, or 30 degrees. No matter how many times you do it infinitely.
This fucking Gabe, you're a fucking asshole, buddy.
So the theory is that 3, 6, and 9 are any derivatives of that is what helps shape our actual physical reality. Because it's the exact same thing broken down over and over and over, and it always equals the exact same thing. And then you can go into numerology with it.
Go into
9 plus
numerology
9.
with it.
That'd be 18, so 1 plus 8 is 9, because you always want to find the base number down to the singular.
Yeah. I'm just curious, how do people like use it to like in normal life?
I don't have an actual answer
Dude,
for that, except
yeah,
that
that's gonna-
we probably use it on a very unconscious level, just like we do with a lot of metaphysical work or
Like
conscious work.
it's foundational.
Yeah, it's just kind of like ingrained and built into us. It's part of a formula that helps us operate in our physical reality.
Go ahead and start yapping. I'm gonna try to find this.
Find what?
The 369 thing.
Well, it's
Not
just
sure.
it's weird because like a lot of people are
First
like
thing that pops up on Google. Damn, you find.
yeah. Just a lot of people like claim to like be using the 369 method to like do shit like
Dude,
manifest
holy shit.
stuff.
Better.
Gabe would be
I am not
shitting
sure,
all over himself.
to be honest. I know with gematria, it is like the using words, letters, and numbers as code. And they, supposedly, the Jesuits are the ones that goes back to the Vatican, because the Pope is a Jesuit.
Fuck the Vatican.
Everything goes back to the Vatican. And they use these numbers and letters and words and symbols, and they change them back into numerology. And just so happens that certain words, such as like Kobe, is the same thing as COVID. It equals the same numbers. All these letters equal the same numbers. Mysterious deaths, conspiracies that have happened, all of them come back and equal the same numbers. But then at the same time, I feel like there's pattern recognition at some point, right?
Yeah.
That you're always looking for patterns. You're always looking for...
Wasn't like everything in life a pattern?
Mm-hmm. The Fibonacci sequence.
Sacred geometry.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
what I feel.
I've got it pulled up here. This is via Distractify, and you already mentioned Tesla, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Tesla is the one that kind of had all sorts of research and shit on this that also disappeared after his death. Thanks, Trump. But it's a manifestation method, and I'm just going to read this little excerpt right here. One method says to initiate your manifestation 3 times in the morning, amplify it 6 times in the afternoon, and complete it 9 times in the evening. That basically means you should write your manifestation down 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and 9 times in the evening. Some people skip writing it down and simply focus on the thing they're trying to manifest throughout the day. So, you look like you want to say something.
Okay, so there's these frequencies called the solfeggio. I probably did not say that right. Frequencies. And they are frequencies in which our reality operates. So one of those frequencies is 396 hertz, which if you listen to music or anything tuned to that, it removes subconscious fears, worries, anxiety, and it can help eliminate feelings of guilt and subconscious negative beliefs. So manifestation, ultimately. So even if you use those numbers in your music, it will help you manifest shit.
396.
But it's still the same numbers. It doesn't
Right.
matter how you switch them around.
I'm sure other hertz do bad things to you then, if that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think hip hop operates on a certain frequency that like lowers your vibration, for sure.
I've heard that.
What is it? It's 450 something
412.
or some like that. Yeah, the hertz that they use for all the music, like on the radios and what a lot of producers and stuff. Yeah, it actually damages your conscious and your vibration. But if you listen to like 432 hertz music, that is the healing frequency, and it can help begin to heal all kinds of shit.
There's some shit going around that if you change your audio settings on whatever you're listening to, like a computer, because a computer can actually do that. So if you raise it up to like 432 or some shit like that, even the existing music, it even sounds different. And even it sounding different is actually better for you because it doesn't scatter your own frequency and make it jumpy and, you know, not fluid, unbalanced.
There's also
allegedly
a theta hertz wave that I don't remember which one it is. I think it's 5, 6, or 7 theta hertz or whatever that damages you too, and I think they use that in a lot of different stuff too.
But now what David was talking about as far as negative frequencies, like audible frequencies, it doesn't even have to be audible, like 5G. I think that's kind of what you were getting at, right?
No, but that is another.
And that's now, if you hear us talking shit on 5G, we aren't, how do I say this? We aren't taking the same point of disagreement with 5G as what you've probably heard people argue against 5G. We're going to have a totally different perspective because it's if you vaping son of a bitch. So if your brain, if that's how it works, your synapses are firing electromagnetic signals, and you're being bombarded with signals, whether it's from your phone, whether it's from Wi-Fi, those electromagnetic fields can interfere with your own brain's electromagnetic fields. Okay, that's electromagnetic interference. That happens, even if it's on a small level, it's still altering not what you think. It's not mind control in that aspect, but it lowers your own frequency, or it interferes with it, making your own frequency spike or imbalanced and blah,
Making
blah,
your
blah.
vibrations off.
And that determines how you think about shit.
Your perception.
Your perceptions. Because if somebody does something, that's the difference between you perceiving it either in a good way or a bad way. Those outside electromagnetic influences, that's how it affects you.
Right, and then you look at like all-time high depression, all-time high suicide rates.
Exactly, dude. And that's what we think is up with 5G, is that this is the next step in altering how we think about shit. There's not giving you cancer wirelessly. I mean, it could be.
They might be.
It could be.
They might be.
If you live close enough to one, because we know that living underneath power lines, those people have a higher chance of getting cancer and having major health issues than people who live in the middle of fucking nowhere, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I still just stick to the stance of every single thing, look at it the most negative possible way and look at it the most positive way. Both are valid.
Mm-hmm.
You choose which one you want. So like with 5G, yeah, I could definitely just fry all of us, and that'd be neat. But
What the fuck?
you could also use it to, well, it's like with energy work and like frequencies, you can learn to tap into it and boost your own frequency off of it. So it's really, you're choosing what you do with it and how it affects you.
Right, you're bringing light to the dark.
But we're also at the hands of all the other idiots in the world, so it'll be interesting.
And at the same time, it is still vibrating. So it's still making your atoms vibrate at a different frequency regardless, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's scary.
It is. You know?
Whether it's real or not, whether it's giving you cancer or not, I should say, I have no idea. But it sounds like it's some frequency manipulation.
Yeah. At least on some level.
On some level.
And why would you purposefully invest into a system where you have to have so many of them? Because the range, it's such a high frequency electromagnetic field that the range sucks on it. So you have to have them a lot closer.
Right, and from my understanding, it's a 5 millimeter wave. And that is what, it goes through trees,
microwave.
goes through houses. So it's going to make those deteriorate faster. is from my understanding.
Right, and what like is it killing your cells faster? Is that what you're trying to get at? Like ultimately, I mean, it could, right?
I guess,
if
yeah.
it, I don't know. We're not scientists,
Nope.
so
Nope.
so we're just bullshitting right now. Keep that in mind. But
Yeah.
we're also kind of serious too.
Don't believe anything that we say, but
Yes.
also believe it.
But also at the same time, anybody who's actually took the time to go research the shit that we've been talking about, if they've taken the time, they usually say what we're saying eventually.
I don't research anything. I just know some stuff.
Oh, Jesus, Caleb. You're fucking our credibility, man.
This narrow's always got his fucking nose in a book or fucking Audible in his ear. Shut up. Don't want to hear
don't
it,
fucking
dog.
lie to these people like that.
Lie to these people.
We're
God
obsessed with fucking just learning about shit that nobody else even cares to take the time to look at.
Yeah, it is fascinating, right?
Right, even if it's just from a historical standpoint.
History's a lie.
Yeah, that's true. No, have you ever thought about what kind of shit was actually in the library at Alexandria?
Nothing.
What do you think is like Fort Knox? It was just an illusion.
Yeah, I really do. I think it was just another metaphor for the Akashic Records. I really do.
Ooh, okay.
Have you seen the Akashic Records?
Have I seen it? You can't really see it. Have I created an image of what I think it looks like? Yes. Have I tapped into it? Yes.
And how did that feel?
Weird. For the most part, my experiences with it is every time I've tapped into it, you just kind of like get this massive influx of information of whatever you need in that exact moment, and you just have all of it right there. And then you word vomit on somebody, and they look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what David Icke tapped into when he went to like I think it was like South America somewhere, and he said he got hit with like a beam of light or some shit, and then he just all of a sudden knew all this information about the reptilians.
So with that,
You
everyone,
also got to remember
yeah.
he got a lot of his information from Jordan Maxwell too. Jordan Maxwell's who made David Icke.
So
if we went for him, we want to have David Icke.
I think everybody taps into it a lot throughout their lives. They just don't realize what they do. But as for what you experience, that is entirely on you. It's not going to be the same thing for every single person. You are tapping into a non-physical side of reality. Your mind has to create an image for you to be able to understand. So some people see it as libraries. Some people see it as a giant light beam hitting them in the sky or some crap. I don't know. I mean, you could somehow imagine it to be some little ghost that walks up to you and hands you a book and has a whole bunch of information in it.
But also at the same time, if somebody tells you what their experience was and you cling on to that imagery, that can be bad for you.
Detrimental.
Because you expect it to look like something. This is why expectation is the killer of all dreams. Because if you expect it to look one way, you're so honed in and got tunnel vision on this one picture that you miss all the other ways that it can unfold. Because you're focusing on somebody else's experience that you will probably never have.
That's why you gotta follow the formula.
Just do what makes you your highest excitement, bro.
To the best of your ability.
You gotta follow the synchronicities,
with
man.
no expectation on the outcome.
Right. Me and Gabe just talked about this the other day because he expects certain things to look certain ways and unfold certain ways. And I'm the exact opposite. I am a horrible planner. I'm horrible at following plans. So if I just do what's right in the moment, it fucking works out. And sometimes it doesn't also works out either better than anticipated or worse than anticipated. But then again, it's like that's going to happen either way.
Not all depends on your perception of what happens.
Right.
I wasn't questioning that you tapped into it. I was just curious to how your experience was. That's all.
Yeah, because
I believe in that shit too. So.
the records is just a field of information. It's not like you're walking into mid-continent.
Well, that's how I envision it. So.
Well, if it helps you get there, boy.
I don't fucking know what it is.
It's like if somebody's ever asked you a question that you should not have an answer to whatsoever at all, and then all of a sudden you're just like, oh, okay, and then you have this random information that you had no idea that you had, and then it's just there. You tapped into it for a brief second.
Now, there's also the collective consciousness.
And the collective unconscious.
Right. So there's actually been experiments done that test whether we have a collective consciousness or not, and those experiments show that we, at least on some level, share information unconsciously. Like, I think remote viewing, like Caleb just said, they're sharing a mic. So Austin and Caleb, because yeah, had some technical difficulties earlier, but collective consciousness, that certain numbers and shit, certain shapes go in certain places, and they have to do it without seeing it. They're just guessing shapes and numbers and all this other stuff. One group only gets a certain amount right, and then they have a whole nother group come in, and they guess more, and then another group comes in, and then they guess more right than the previous groups, and so on and so forth. So it's a sharing of unconscious information. So it's either we're learning unconsciously through other people, or we're sharing some sort of telecommunications, wireless, Nikola Tesla-esque information. We're all tapping into the same information field, essentially.
It's like you ever been in a gas station, you're sitting there waiting in line to check your stuff out, and the dude in front of you is taking forever. And then you finally get up there, and all of a sudden you just forget everything that you were trying to do. You just stepped into their energy field. You stepped into their experience of what just occurred.
Or he gave the cashier a bad vibe, and then you are dealing with the cashier now, and then she gives you a bad vibe.
That could work too.
Now I got a bad attitude because this bitch had a bad attitude because she got the bad attitude from this cocksucker that was in front of me. And it spreads. It just spreads like that. So if they could just piss off a small group of people, as far as the reptilians go, it spreads. That negativity spreads just like a virus. And that's what a lot of people think the coronavirus actually is.
I'm going to go ahead and be this guy because I like my spiritual stuff. We created the opportunity for COVID to even exist. I don't care. You can say it was made in a lab, or you can say that our government did it, or it was just some freak accident. It totally could be. But at the end of the day, we created it as a whole, as a collective conscious. We manifested the opportunity for it because we needed it. We needed isolation. We spend too much time running around with our dicks out and our heads up our asses going a million miles an hour.
Oh,
Well,
fuck yeah.
what happens when you suddenly have to stop? You gotta deal with your own mind. You have to learn to silence your own mind.
To kind of bring back balance, right?
Yes.
But now,
I don't really think that happened, though. I think just people were on fucking TV and saw all the bad shit when we isolated.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of the
That's the
media outlets
polarity.
and, all those things, all you saw was the horrible things that were going on because that's exactly what they wanted you to see.
right.
But if you get on the internet and look around, like, people shared all kinds of amazing stories during it. Like, I watched one video of a dude and his neighbor across the wall both played piano. And they played piano, like, every week at the exact same time together through the wall during the quarantine.
That's dope.
Like,
But that's also the polarity that we're dealing with. And if you just go along with the narrative, it's always going to be the negative polarity in what they are pushing.
you have to see the positive side of what all of it is. If you stay in the negative side of it, that's where you're stuck. You have to work out of it.
Right. Just like if they have you focusing on the less than 1% mortality rate or, death rate, you're not even thinking about the 99+% people who survive and are just fine. Now, whether or not the whole tasting and smelling shit, I don't know. It's been almost 2 years and I still haven't got COVID. And I go to the gym. I'm out in public. I don't I don't wear masks anymore. I haven't been sick. But I know people who have been sick. I know people who their family members and friends have died from being sick. So I don't know.
Here's a fun one for you. So me and Jess went down to see her mom and her aunts up from Texas a few weekends ago. So we go to her aunt's house, and there's probably 20 people in this little apartment, whatnot. So weekend's over, all that stuff. So her aunt and her grandpa got COVID, but no one else did.
Yikes. While you guys were down there?
Yeah. While we were all down there, only 2 of them out of, 15 people.
They tested positive when they got back, when the weekend was over, right?
As far as I know, I don't know the whole story, but yeah, they both came down with COVID and were, down and out for 2.5 weeks. So, yeah, it's real, but I don't understand all of it, and I'm not going to pretend to understand how any of it actually truly works. I'll just go off of what I can see and experience.
Well, it was 2012 or 13 whenever Bill Gates had that meeting with the CIA talking about them making genetic viruses that only attack certain genes. Now that's actually fucking. You can go watch this shit, and he's talking. They were using it in the context of fixing religious extremism because they were going to release this virus in the Middle East to hopefully deter terrorist attacks, because their narrative was they were doing it because they were Muslim, extremist Muslims, right? Well, if that's just how they frame it, you're not even thinking that if they can isolate out of the 1% of the genetic code that they say that they've been able to decipher, but we know that's not true. We know it's well into that 99% margin.
Of what, the genes that we know?
Right.
I mean, our geneticists, I think right now only know 3,000 to 5,000 out of the 27,000 genes.
So
or some ridiculous number. Again, that's just what I learned talking to a geneticist about the disease that I have. So
well, and also we have CRISPR and shit like that. So if some guys in their garage can alter their own genetics, they know exactly what genetics they're altering. So what the average person knows about genetics is very fucking little.
I don't know jack shit.
Because they aren't talking about the shit. But like I was saying, Bill Gates is briefing the CIA on this virus that they're going to drop, that they wanted to drop in the Middle East to deter religious extremism, and they've found this one gene, this one genetic code, is what makes you defiant against authority. Okay? So if they tell the public, if this ever comes out, and they tell the public, oh no, it's only to fix this one thing, if they've pinpointed that one thing, what makes you think that they haven't pinpointed these other one things that can dull you down for something that you don't even know? You could be on fucking Facebook or Twitter preaching, like me. I no mandatory vaccinations. If you want to get vaccinated, that's on you. Or if you want to trust the government, that's on you. You're fucking up, but that's on you. And now they can do that to me, and they don't even have to give me the shot. But the thing is that if they only have to affect a small portion of people, and that's how they get everybody else on board. So it's not the virus you got to watch out for, because it's a genetic virus, and it only attacks people with this certain genetic code. And if they tell you it's just a virus, then everybody's going to go get vaccinated. So not everybody has to be attacked by the genetic virus, but everybody will get the vaccine to get their genetics fucked with. Just like we said, Dr. Fauci even admits that this changes your genetics.
That is actively modifying your genetics.
That's why the death rate is so low and the vaccination levels are so high. As of right now, they want to get, at least 70% of the population?
I think that's what old faithful Biden said.
Dude, that's fucking wild. And if the government's pushing for it, it's not right. Don't do that.
I'm sorry, but when they offer you incentives to go get the vaccination, like money or
the
food
vaccine lottery,
at that point in time, I'm like, hard no,
bro.
No way.
You gotta be dense as fuck to not see what the hell's going on.
You gotta be poor as fuck.
Hey, well,
I mean, to each their own. Like, I get it. Like, I've been there, but fuck.
Dude, I will sell a testy before I go get this fucking vaccine. I'll make more money off my testy.
I want to know who fucking saw the Krispy Kreme ad and was like, I'm getting vaccinated for that free donut, bro. You didn't see that shit?
No.
Krispy Kreme was offering, like, free donuts to people with, like, vaccine
Oh my God.
certification.
But the reality is it affects the elderly and the obese than anybody else. We just shared a Johns Hopkins study just this morning on our Facebook page about how there's 0 deaths from COVID among children. Now, whether it's underlying health issues, it's different. So if the kid's about to die from cancer, or, who's got a weak heart or something like that, it's going to affect him. But just purely from COVID, there's none. And we already know they've been fucking with those numbers.
Yeah, there's a very large number difference between people who died just straight from COVID and people who died from underlying conditions while having COVID. And again, in the beginning of this, people were dying from heart attacks and they were classifying it as a COVID death.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, COVID may have played a part in it, but dude had a heart attack. Like,
Well, that, and they were saying that, or they would have died from any other 151 diseases, viruses.
Right. Man, I forgot. We talked about not wanting to talk about COVID on this show.
You know what?
I just got in a Facebook argument with somebody. It really pissed me off.
You know what I find really strange about the whole thing still is Event 201. And if you don't know what
Yes.
Event 201 is, it's basically during the war games in 2019, a big group of scientists and billionaires got together and had a discussion about releasing a coronavirus.
Who's that main dude?
Well, good old Bill Gates, my guy.
There you go.
Well, who else would it be?
He seems all in this shit, huh?
Right.
He
And you
owns
start
patents for all this shit.
I totally want the dude that made Microsoft to be in charge of science.
Right.
Right. They tell people, like they told Joe Rogan that he's not a doctor, so he should shut the fuck up about what people should and shouldn't do when it comes to the coronavirus. Yet everybody wants to listen to fucking Bill Gates. He's not a doctor either. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's only what makes people feel better. So they attack your emotions.
You should probably work out, take some vitamin D.
This billionaire guy told me it's okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. Like,
This billionaire who owns all the patents to make himself even more money and more powerful.
who owns more
Do you guys
farmland
not
than
watch
anybody
any
else.
fucking movies?
Dude, but then they make fun of you for
Yeah.
referencing the movies.
That's all. Yeah, it's just fucking bullshit.
Dude, that's the thing. Is like, this is how they rub your fucking nose
Yeah.
in it. And if you can't see the correlations between fiction and nonfiction, where do you think the fiction comes from? It comes from a real place. It may not necessarily be 100% true as far as the imagery and the events, but it comes from a real place or a real event or a real thing. So just keep that in mind next time you want to criticize somebody for going, oh, fuck, Space Jam is talking about rogue AI wanting to fucking suck everybody into the cyberverse and control the world.
well, it was like the movie Soul, where they just like
dude,
blatantly
that's such a
like,
good
here's
show.
the soul
Or
pool
movie.
theory for you, and you're just like, holy fuck.
Well, yeah, and that movie also has where you're talking about being in the zone. You remember when they would go to that place and they're like, I guess astral body would pop up and they'd be in the zone doing what they love. And then if you get too caught up in it, they get stuck in that little area. But yeah, it's interesting because that movie pretty much shows what you were talking about.
It's
Space
all
Jam?
over, bro. No, Soul.
Soul.
I haven't
you
seen
seen
that
it?
one.
Yeah.
That one's really good. Or Inside Out, that one dropped a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a lot. Disney does it a lot. Like when they made A Wrinkle in Time, which I'm sure a lot of people have read the books, but the movie's also really good. But yeah, quantum entanglement, like how all of that shit works in a children's movie.
And we know that Walt Disney was deeply connected,
The occult.
well, with the occult through the CIA. Because the CIA is the modern day group in our government that mirrored the Hitlers. Because Hitler had a whole high-tiered secret SS team that traveled the world collecting religious artifacts and shit like that. That's what essentially what the CIA is, and now we've got the technology and the know-how. Exactly, exactly. Jesus Christ! Just go watch a movie, and you'll know everything we're talking about.
That's the entire plot of one of the Hellboy movies.
Dude, right? It's fucking ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. But now, Caleb, yeah, just go watch Hellboy and you'll know exactly what I was talking about. But the CIA also knows how to implement it. They've had more practice and time to refine these techniques and all this shit. Dude, Paris is Europe.
Whoa.
Oh, God.
Why is there ads on TikTok
right
now?
Before COVID, right before the lockdowns, mass protests all over the fucking world.
Yeah.
Right? Come on.
Well, what's crazy is like over in Europe, they have a lot of socialist.
I'm getting super weird vibes right
Yeah,
now.
that sounds like some tongues type shit. But does a light have a language? I think that's the shit that misleads people right there.
Well, every being that I've ever... Oh,
We
so
have been
are we
recording.
fucking
Yeah.
going? Oh, shit, okay.
Hey, yo, we're back. We're back from our potty break.
Every being or whatever I've ever encountered through, like, meditation and stuff like that, like, their languages, we have no way of even beginning to, like, fathom what it actually sounds like. So with,
Right.
like, these people doing light languages and stuff, what's coming through is most likely their interpretation.
What do you mean
Of what they're
light
hearing.
language?
Exactly, bro.
Light beings.
So she was speaking in light.
Yes.
But, okay,
Sounded
now,
like Latin.
Kinda.
also at the same time, these higher dimensional beings will know how to put shit in ways that you can understand. And a lot of times, like with Bashar, they're going to talk to you either in English or in energy in a way that you are now coming up naturally with these things that they are transmitting to you.
Yeah.
So, like, me personally, I think that lady's full of shit. And I think that's the shit that... I get what you said about it's her interpretation, but also I've seen plenty of evangelicals that you could put the same shit to them and they're full of shit. They've been faking it this whole time.
Right.
You
and
know
none
what I'm
of us
saying?
know enough Spanish
Oh,
to not know
yeah,
she's
for
telling
sure.
us
I'm not
that we're
telling
just
people to
dumb
go
bitches.
believe her or anything. I mean, it's really
Go-
cool and it gives you really weird vibes. Like,
Go
check
sign
it
up
out,
for
but
Rosetta Stone to learn light language and shit. We're not saying that.
$299.99.
Oh.
So she was speaking in light language.
Supposedly.
So like we can make up our own language as well then, right?
Well,
I mean,
that's what tongues is, isn't it?
We already made up our own languages. Like, our original language was our body, like our frequencies, our vibrations. So when you get like a bad vibe from somebody, that's communication. We just learned how to do it physically, like with words and shit.
So it's like in Game of Thrones how the Sully speak, you know? You know, I'm just saying we can just do whatever
kinda
we want, I
that.
guess.
So it's like we unconsciously understand other languages and stuff. So we have the ability to interpret things like that, but it's probably just our interpretation of what it sounds like.
It just has me, you know.
You know, I think we're just as full of shit as she is.
So, fun fact.
Do you think anyone in here is a starseed?
What's a star
I
seed?
don't buy it. That's the new age disinformation shit.
I'm not going to
in my
knock
opinion.
it just because it, presents a positive outlook on things.
We're all
so
made of
like,
stardust,
yeah,
right? So
do what you do if you're doing it in a positive way, but yeah, I don't really get all the weird names.
yeah, if we're talking about
stuff.
it objectively, that's one thing. Because if it
Like-
helps you be a better person subjectively, then it doesn't. We're not talking about that.
Yeah.
We're talking about the objective ideology itself.
I don't really get like the hybrid children and like rainbow kids and
Indigo
whatever.
children
Yeah,
and
whatever you
shit.
guys want to call them. All I understand is that the children being born are going to be vibrating at a higher frequency than the rest of us.
Well,
That's
also
it.
the whole thing with like the indigo children, for example, is people who are incarnating that are carrying over more esoteric information.
They're holding on to more.
Right.
They're bringing more
Instead
in.
of being wiped clean like a lot of other people when they incarnate, they're actually going to be able to retain a lot more of this spiritual knowledge. And, you know, the New Agers have dubbed that the indigo children, right? Is it a New Age thing? Who knows?
It's been around for a while. I mean, I'm pretty sure they used the same terms back in the 70s
The
during like
Woodstock
all the acid and like the hallucinogens that everyone was doing. Like, of course, yeah, they're gonna be tapping into some shit. So yeah.
You know, I got something. What's the craziest trip you ever had, Caleb?
The craziest trip I ever had.
Just a second. Let me hit this real quick. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is when we lived down in Springfield, and you remember my buddy Levi?
Uh-huh.
So I get a phone call from my buddy Levi one time. And he's like, "There's ghosts in my house. I need your help." And I was just like, "Okay," didn't think anything of it. So I go over there. He smoked like 3 bowls of straight DMT.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and like lost his mind and thought there was ghosts and like yeah, it was interesting. So he told me to take the DMT and do something with it. So I went to his empty spare bedroom and just proceeded to smoke it. And so I'm sitting there, cross-legged on the floor, and all of a sudden, like, the floor starts to, like, move like waves. Like, yeah, I don't know, it was weird. And then all of a sudden, all these eyes start popping up on the wall of, like
a Tool album.
yeah, kind of. So all of the eyes were like different shapes, textures, colors. Like it was insane. So I was like, I got to get the fuck out of here. So I went out onto his patio deck. So I'm sitting there staring at the clouds. And the clouds proceeded to tell me a story about my subconscious mind and my archetypes that I was dealing with at the time. And so what I thought was like this 4-hour fucking trip of this journey through the fucking clouds was like 9 minutes. And it was
All of
like
9
like
minutes.
the clouds were shifting into like different pictures and like yeah, legit telling me like a picture storybook. And I'm like, holy fuck. So I was, why are you doing? Why does that work? Okay, can we talk about the hand? Can we talk about the hand motion for a second?
No, I didn't know. I was trying to think that train, but you're in the middle of a story. But I don't want the train to fuck up your story.
The story's pretty much you just told me an awesome story, and I grew a lot as a person.
After living a Tool album.
Yeah.
Okay, so the train totally fucked me up. Sorry.
No, you're good.
That's why it's called a train of thought.
But it broke down your. It broke.
Bazinga!
Hit you with some knowledge. Yikes!
So your craziest trip was DMT, smoking it.
And
Yes.
And you broke down those
smoking
archetypes.
it and ingesting it give you 2 different
Yes.
trips.
So a continuation of that story, just for anybody that actually gives a shit. So the last therapist I was seeing, I specifically searched the internet for this dude because he did Jungian psychology, and that's what I wanted. So when I walk into his office for the first visit, he has all these filing cabinets and all this fucking shit everywhere, and it was just thousands of little miniature toys. Yeah, insane.
What kind of toys? What do you
All
mean?
kinds, action figures, like little kid, everything. Like it was, yeah, crazy. So before I even get to sit down, he's like, pick 3, just randomly pick 3.
Oh shit!
And I was like,
Doing some shadow work, huh?
I was like, okay, neat. So I picked these 3 toys that all resembled those beings that I saw in the clouds, and they were all 3 of my archetypes that I was dealing with at the time. And I was just like
now explain that.
Like the archetypes?
What did these figurines? What did they look like, and how they represented your archetypes?
Well, one was a samurai-looking dude, one was a knight in armor with wings, and one was this vampire demon-looking lady.
Okay, now, how are those representative of your archetypes?
So at the time, the knight with the wings represents savior, And at the time, I was literally trying to save myself from what I was becoming. The demon lady or the vampire or whatever she was what I was doing to the people around them and taking their energy and trying to use it to make myself better instead of doing it on my own. If that makes sense.
No, I'm following along.
No, wild. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I blacked out. I don't remember what the first one was. My brain just fried.
The Knight with Wings, the Vampire Lady, and then there's another one.
Yeah, the
The
samurai.
Samurai.
So, yeah, it came down to being truthful with myself because for a long time I was basically like a pathological liar about myself to random people just to feed into my own ego. So I had to deal with that shit.
Dude, and that's the thing that psychedelics will do to you is you'll put a fucking...
Take shrooms.
Dude, shrooms, but it gets your ego in check. We've talked about it on the show before. And it's gives you a whole new outlook on life when you aren't placed in the center of the universe.
And please don't be one of these new age people that, think that you just have to like destroy your ego or some shit to
It's
like
impossible.
better yourself. No, you need the ego. Like it is a very important part. Just use it correctly.
So you think, what do you think about the ego never existed?
If you're asking me if the ego is something that we created, definitely.
Definitely.
But it's something that we created to be able to exist because we need the ego. We need to be aware of ourselves and have I don't want to say expectation, but an idea of who we should be. So we have something to strive for, and you need the ego for that.
Because you can use it to promote personal growth.
Yes, instead of just being a dick.
No. He's right. What do you got to say to that?
So, but doesn't that put us in a structure, put us into a box, put limitations on us if we...
Yes.
If you believe that it puts you in a box and puts limitations on you.
Well, in a way, also.
Isn't that systemic, though? Isn't that like the...
Well, yeah, we live in a physical reality. Like, it has to be. Like, it can't just be, it is whatever it is. Like, you have to have some structure for it all to be able to exist as one single thing.
Well, also, to go back to Jungian psychology, we have pillars of our subconscious persona, our personality, and the ego in all of us is a part of that personality structure, foundation. It's all subconscious shit. I would say it's a voice in your head sometimes, but some people don't even have an internal monologue.
The mind is supposed to be silent at all times.
So I think it's always existed as long as we were self-aware. You get where I'm
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I take it all the way back. We were talking the other day about Adam and Eve and wearing clothes off rip. You know what I mean? There was no ego. There was no shame. It was
Supposedly.
supposedly.
If you're framing... Now, you also have to realize that it's not literally Adam and Eve, though. And it's not literally them seeing each other naked for the first time, being aware of the shame and, all that other shit involved with somebody seeing you naked that you don't want to see naked. But
Eve sounds like a babe, though.
dude,
Whatever.
she does sound like a baddie, boy.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Hey.
I don't know. She fucking ate that fruit and fucked everything up.
I got some fruit for her to eat.
Santos Bonacci actually
Am I going to hell for that? Is
maybe.
it?
I mean, maybe.
It's just the whole Adam and Eve thing. Like, so a benevolent being who knows everything that will ever take place puts a tree by these two people. It's like, hey guys, don't eat that. But he knows that they're going to eat it. He knows from the very start.
Divine plan.
Yeah,
right?
it's all his plan, all of it. So, yeah, he puts this fruit tree there or whatnot. So they eat it. And then he damns all of humanity for it. Because he knew that they were going to eat this tree that he purposely put next to them.
Right.
So then, however long later, he's like, you know what? These people just really don't like me anymore. So I'm just going to make this being and send him down there, and he's going to be my son. And then I'm going to let him die so that everybody forgives me for what I did to them on purpose.
Hey, and also, if you're listening to Club right now and thinking, wow, none of that makes sense, now you see where we're coming from.
So, in 3
When it
weeks from
comes to
now,
religion.
yeah, something will happen and you'll just be like, holy fuck, he was right.
Yeah, because you can't. It's also the same thing with all the other religions, too. They contradict themselves in ways. And yeah, there is contradiction, just like in shit that we say. But
I'll contradict the fuck out of myself.
oh yeah, but at the same time, this shit is so illogical that it doesn't make any sense.
As crazy as it
Fiction.
sounds, the only way
It comes
I've-
from a real place, but it is fiction.
Yeah, the only way I've come to find the actual truth of all this is to simply follow the contradictions. Like, everything is a contradiction in one way or another.
Or, a paradox.
Or a paradox.
It's this and that. Purple pill.
Stuck in a loop of it.
Yeah. Now, all these religions also are riddled with Saturn symbology. So
Here we go. He's been waiting years to talk about this.
no, I've had plenty of opportunity. I don't know what my hesitation is when it comes to the Saturn episode.
Somebody might confront you about it and give you
Maybe.
a different idea of it. Call you a bitch.
Maybe that's my ego. Say,
Maybe.
hey, stupid! It's not Saturn. It's Pluto. You fucking cisgendered asshole pig. That's what I'm afraid of. You're absolutely right.
But isn't Jupiter like Zeus?
Yeah,
And where Jesus comes from? Jupiter, Zeus.
I don't know. I know Jupiter comes up quite a bit when it comes to esotericism.
Mm-hmm.
But now, you also have to look at it. It's between us and Saturn, so maybe it's some sort of. If you look at
The eye.
Greek mythology, on Jupiter, the storm. Okay, yeah. Like the all-seeing eye.
In a way, but I mean, it's a giant hurricane storm that is between us and Saturn, right?
Well, Saturn's also got a
Yeah.
storm
So
that's in the
if-
shape of an eye.
If you're talking about like the energies that Saturn puts off, it has to go through Jupiter to get to us, right?
2 eyes, bro. Maybe those are
Ponder
the
on
eyes
it.
of. Oh shit. Oh shit! What they put in this full throttle? Did somebody sneak some shit in my folder? Lace in my shit?
Drinking the fucking
I don't even know where we were going with it. Yeah.
Drinking the fucking Kool-Aid.
But maybe because Zeus saves us from the Titans, and Saturn was one of the Titans, Kronos. Maybe that's just the mythology,
Representation.
some symbolism behind Jupiter kind of shielding us from Saturn's energy. Because, I think we've gone into it a little bit on the show about the cube, and that's why the cube is so relevant. It goes along with the hexagon, and it is also an image for the box that you're put in through the matrix. And the energetic matrix that Saturn is bombarding us with, that's kind of, it sets the foundation for that. Because we're all now working within this certain mind frame, this lower dimensional mind frame.
Because they are all bodies of frequency.
Yeah.
So what happens when, the planets do their thing and Jupiter isn't blocking Saturn for a little bit of time and you get that frequency plowed straight into us? You can use it.
Well, you can. But also at the same time, isn't that what people theorize the moon is? Is an amplifier for those energies because of all the anomalies that happen with the moon?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure. All right. But now, fuck, dude. Where do we even go from there? Are we going to start talking about Saturn?
That's entirely up to you. I don't care.
Fuck.
You can talk about something else if you'd like to.
Hey, somebody else, because I'll start yapping about Saturn.
Got anything interesting, David?
I was trying to think. anything off the top of my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it sucks being put on the spot, huh? Why do you think I'm fucking quiet so often? I can't. You get put on the spot, then you just don't know.
Let me think.
Okay, do you guys think that the moon is a natural satellite, or you think is purposefully there? Like somebody put it in our orbit for the energetic.
I think it's just weirdly placed
and perfect.
And sized.
Yeah, I think it's too fucking
fixed in space.
Too fishy for it to just be like fucking a part of a planet that fucking ended up in our fucking
a part of Earth.
Yeah,
because
I don't
if it was flying through space, our planet wouldn't be able to harness it and trap it the way that it is because it's so large.
Also, I think it's weird that
it's also got lower mass too, so that it maybe, but it's still a quarter the size of the Earth.
We're in the sun's like gravitational pull, right? Mm-hmm. And so are all the other planets. But why is the fucking moon not affected by it? I think that's just weird. I mean, I get that it's in our gravity, but you would think that the sun's gravity, which is greater than ours, would fuck with it, but it doesn't. I just think that's weird. But I'm also a retard,
time,
so.
Right? But I'm sure it does at the same time.
They say it does. They say that's why, like, because it does actually rotate, but it rotates at a fucking speed that's, like, perfect. That we only see one fucking side. Also weird.
Yeah, because it does rotate only on the one face of the moon. Yeah.
And, astronauts have said, like Buzz Aldrin and, all the first guys, there's a transmission that wasn't broadcast to the public. And that's what was in the Dark of the Moon. Mm-hmm. The Transformers Dark of the Moon movie was about that initial space landing and them reporting that there's spacecraft up on the horizon. We see them. They're on the top of the ridge because they landed in a crater.
Yeah. They were like triangles, weren't they?
And they didn't want us there.
And Neil Armstrong was like, we see them.
Yeah, it was like something's looking at us.
And Neil A backwards is alien. Weird.
Now, I hear the problem with that transmission is that the operator says this is command control, and that's not what they would normally say.
Houston.
Exactly.
They always refer to themselves as Houston.
And that is the problem with that transmission.
Well, there was also that British guy that hacked military databases in like the early 2000s, and he claims that he discovered that they had a whole space fleets already.
I believe it.
Yeah, I've seen there's like satellite images of a Japanese probe that went up there and took pictures of the dark side of the moon, and there appears to be like fucking structures up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fucking weird.
It's I've seen some shit, some videos that people went in through editor and changed the contrast because they were claiming that these certain pieces of the images had been painted over and like blurred and smeared, which is just done in like a photo editor, like Photoshop. But they went in and changed the contrast on the photos that were released, and you can see UFO-esque type images within the contrast. So we think that they're smearing over the photos that they release to the public or that they post on their websites. They're smearing them out, but people are starting to catch on. But they've also been saying, our ancestors have been talking about the other planets for a long-ass fucking time.
I mean...
So what if our
There's
ancestors...
a reason we haven't gone back. I mean, straight up, do I think that the moon's man-made? No. Do I think that somebody brought it here? Yes. Because if there is a civilization that's living on that moon, I mean, that moon doesn't belong here, but it is now brought to a planet that can renew itself over however long, so they just live on the moon. I mean, look at Bashar's people, the Sasani or whatever, how they live above the planet on their satellites.
Weren't we just talking about Marvel, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and how Kurt Russell? I just remembered what his name was.
Ego?
Oh shit!
Because we were talking about how how'd that conversation start on how the reptilians could be from Alpha Draconis or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And I was explaining it to him in how the Earth manifested us, and we just got it rolled into the conversation because I was trying to get him an image to put it to. I was like, just like Guardians of the Galaxy, when Star-Lord's dad is traveling the universe and planting its seed everywhere, but he was actually the planet, and Kurt Russell was just a manifestation to therefore travel out into the cosmos.
Crackpot theory for you.
Let's hear it.
Okay,
That's all this episode's been, bro. Yes.
Okay,
Fucking
so what if...
up.
That's the name of this episode.
theory,
Crackpot Theory.
the theory of Atlantis. Okay, so part of the theory of Atlantis is that the city launched into the sky. So I'll retract my earlier statement about the moon possibly being built because, crackpot theory. What
the
if
moon is Atlantis?
Yes. What if the Atlanteans took off up into space and stopped in orbit and simply continued building their entire landmass into the rest of the moon?
Or what if Atlantis was
Crackpot
just
theory.
a Death Star
Please
from
don't
the
believe me.
beginning?
What?
What if it was just
Say
a
that
Death
again.
Star from the beginning, and they were just living on a giant mound, and it came from the Earth? Oh my God, we're crackpotting it up like a motherfucker! Holy shit! Holy shit! Somebody call Alex Jones. David, I know you got him on
Call
Twitter.
Alex Jones. Get him on the phone. Get him on the flip phone.
Didn't they shoot like a missile at the moon? Like
I think
way
no,
back?
they had talked about nuking the moon, but it was one of the space probes or one of the landers that crashed into it, which made it ring like a bell for like an hour.
Yeah. Okay. I just remember the moon ringing.
Yeah, so it's hollow, way too big, way too close, way too not rotaty. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Nope.
And that was one of the first things my girl, whenever I had started kind of opening up about my whole tinfoil hat wearing self, and I was telling her we were talking about the moon, and then she goes on, I can't remember, it was like 6 years ago, but they were talking about some horse shit in the big letters, in the big columns, and then in really tiny letters, they were talking about like the real shit, like it's backwards. So they put the actual information real small as captions on the photos, and nobody reads those. They just read the main article. So it's right out in the open. Nobody acknowledges it. They just read right past it. And then she's like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna have to look that up and remember exactly what we were talking about." I think it had something to do with the moon ringing and shit, and how it's hollow.
I think the moon is just a giant like mirror to reflect energy straight to the planet to allow an acceleration of consciousness.
Oh, the Klob show, huh?
Yeah, there you go.
Do you think it's working?
Totally.
Yes. I mean, it's probably been going on for a long time, and this doesn't really just happen until it happens. So it's a very long process, and I think it's been going on since about the Dark Ages or so. But who knows? I could be completely wrong.
Yo. That's a wild theory, my guy.
We'll take a look at society right now, even like the TikToks and everything else. Like how many people are like looking more at spirituality and looking more at the truth of everything. Like it's occurring. It's just taking a long time because we're all dumb.
Dumbed down monkeys. Yeah. I could see it. I could see it reflecting society as it is.
David Icke, that's what David Icke has a whole lecture called The Saturn Moon Matrix that I think is still on YouTube. And he does a really good job at laying it all out with slides, which I think that's why I'm so hesitant to talk about to actually have a Saturn episode is because people like David Icke have already put all the information together for you and explain it so brilliantly. A lot better than we're going to be able to explain it, especially without having pictures or anything for you guys to look at while you're doing it.
All you gotta do is get them interested in it.
Right. It's fucking crazy. You'd be blown away. Like, each planet has a magic square. And this comes back to the numerology thing we had discussed earlier. And a magic square is all the rows and all the columns all add up to be the same numbers. Okay? And Saturn's is 15, or just a second. Each side comes out to be 15. Each column and each row add up to 15. Well, 1 plus 5 is 6, and there's 3. It's a 3 by 3 square, so it's 666, 666, 666 all the way around it. So just to tie in numerology.
Back to 9. 9 on each side.
Right, 369. It's a 3 by 3 square, and then it all adds up to 6, and there's 9 total squares.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoa. So we just tied in the 369 Tesla thing into what Saturn influences in this reality, essentially.
If I'm not bad at math, then yeah, maybe. But
I'm gonna Google it. Just
not very good at math. What did you say? So it's 666 on each side. So that's, if you add that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll post that to our Facebook. But also look. Oh, okay. Here we go. God damn it! I'm going down that rabbit hole. But there's the symbol for Thelema. If you go 1, 2, 3, 4 and connect all the squares sequentially, it comes up to the Thelema logo, which is also the main shape of the square and compass of Freemasonry. And when we said earlier, in an earlier episode, did you want to see that, D? In an earlier episode, how it's Saturn, it's a Saturn cult. Well, that would be why. Well, and where the square and compass comes from Saturn.
If Saturn is as powerful as it is made out to be, and what you can harness its energy to do, well then yeah, the people in power would definitely want to take every advantage of that so that we could never even be aware of using it.
Right, take advantage of being able to take your energy.
Take our greatest asset and not let us use it.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Tesla was on to something.
He was on to something.
A book that you can read that explains all this too, if you're more into audiobooks or reading, The Saturn Myth by David Talbot is where a lot of this information is outlined. David Icke even quotes him in his seminars. So there's also that. I know, I'm just kind of scrolling through some symbolism. I know we've already talked about a lot of this stuff, like the double X, like an Exxon, like companies using these logos, and even the definition of logos even means language. So there you go. It's a symbolic language. Yeah, I know. We left it here. The astrological symbol for Saturn is also the same symbol that they use as Planck's constant in quantum physics equations. I mean, all this shit is not a coincidence. We're talking about really brilliant people picking and choosing of any symbol that they could do. They pick the Saturn symbol every fucking time, for the most part. Not every time, but for the most part.
It is wild. Some strange representation of Saturn.
Yeah.
Saturn worship.
Oh, and then there's the Purple Dawn theory. We've talked about it before, I think. At least brushed on it. And how Saturn, you can Google this right now, listeners. Yeah. Saturn is technically a brown dwarf star. So it's a star. Same as our sun. Suns are stars, blah, blah, blah. And they you get where I'm going with this. There's a theory that Saturn used to be our sun, and when our previous galaxy or our previous solar system collided with another solar system, because everything's moving through space, and as time goes on, everything goes further apart. So galaxies were real close together at one point. So if they go through each other and collide, either the solar system can be destroyed, or it could find some sort of harmony and therefore integrate itself into one another. And that's essentially what happened, in that the prior golden age, Saturn was our actual sun, but through a conjunction of solar systems, our sun was bigger, so therefore the new sun, so basically we just got adopted into that solar system, is what I'm getting at.
Do we have any idea of when that happened?
Not off the top of my head, no.
And the fact that it's called a solar system.
Sol
Soul
is an ancient term for Saturn. They used to call Saturn Sol, and that's where Israel. Israel, bro. And well, if we know that the Rothschilds created Israel and funded the Israeli government and established the Israeli government, Isis, Ra, and El are all terms for the sun. El is commonly referred to as Saturn. And if Saturn is a star, a sun, nobody ever specifies what sun they're talking about. Most people don't even realize that Saturn is a star. So all names for the sun are sun gods. Therefore, Saturn. Did I plot that out right? Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm
did.
saying?
Yeah, I got it.
Isis, Ra, and El make up Israel. And all those names are names for the sun, but Saturn is also a sun, or was a sun.
So do you think... I don't even know. Yeah, that was good. That was good. I'll give you that.
dude.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, all right.
So
Well,
regardless, Saturn worship Israel.
All I see over there is cocaine.
All my brain went to with...
I just looked over, and that was the first word I saw was cocaine. What is that?
cocaine dumpsters.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, my mind went to, solar systems colliding to when, like, the Mayans just, up and vanished. Don't stare at me while you're scrolling.
No, explain where you're going with that.
I was listening.
Well, we talk about shifting through realities and a lot of things. So if there was such a, catastrophic event to occur, like solar systems colliding, the energy that would come from it would be enough for an entire planet to shift itself into a parallel reality.
An event that could kill a whole planet of dinosaurs, perhaps?
Something like that. I mean...
What if the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, if that's what actually happened, came as solar debris from this conjunction?
Yeah.
That's what makes The Witcher so good, because it actually talks about the conjunction of spheres. I better shut up about The Witcher. I'll start fangirling real hard.
He gets such a fucking hard on for it.
I do too.
Dude, the books are so good, and they explain esotericism so good. But I digress.
Don't get me started on books.
Yeah, you reading anything good lately?
No.
No. Just listen to?
Well, since I got our headphones taken away, I haven't really been listening to anything. But I was getting ready to start, like, my 5th reread of The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, because it's fucking brilliant.
Yep, it actually is.
The Name of the Wind. I'm trying to remember which one that was.
It's the King Killer Chronicles.
Okay.
Amazing books.
It's been a while since I listened to those.
The last big ones I read was Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archives. That man has a gift for making me lose my fucking mind, and it's wonderful.
Have you listened to the First Law series?
I've listened to The Blade itself.
Dude.
Logan Nine Fingers is a fucking great.
Goes hard.
Glokta is everything I ever needed in a character.
I picture you whenever I'm listening to it. I picture
I do
Caleb
too.
as Glockta. See, he knows the character, so it makes it even better.
He's just like a cynical asshole about everything. And
He's
it's
the
fucking
head
great.
inquisitor for the crown, so he's a head torturer, and he's just this super light spoken, just twisted motherfucker, and he's like all mangled from being a prisoner of war, so he talks kind of with a lisp and everything because he's missing teeth and shit. So I just picture Caleb. But
I'll take it.
yeah, dude, you got to finish that series. You guys got to listen to that shit.
I'm gonna like go to the library because I remember that those are places. So I'm gonna go get me some books and learn how to read again.
It's not a bad idea.
Man, you sound like a real fucking nerd right now.
Dude, I have to read like probably 10 to 20 like children's books a day to my children. So I just read because I
Baba
fucking
Black
can.
Sheep gets real old, huh?
It's been Martha Speaks and the Lorax a lot lately. There's a Dr. Seuss book called like the Sleep Time book or something. Man, you get like 3 pages in and everyone's yawning. It's fucking, yeah, some kind of fucking wizardry.
I love the Lorax.
You are using words and spells, so.
Yeah, it's a ritual, bro. They figured it out.
They did figure a few things out, and that's one of them.
Do you guys consider listening to audiobooks reading? Are you picky when it comes to that kind of shit?
I don't care.
Fair enough.
I don't know if I've ever listened to an audiobook.
You like podcasts, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like listening to a podcast.
I don't know. I feel like I have to have the book. I have to have the physical thing.
You got to have the bifocals and everything on, too.
Yeah, with my fucking
And your
readers.
cigar robe and...
Alan Watts. That's how I do it.
The backwards law theory.
What's that? Go and tell us.
He probably knows it too. So the backwards law theory, which is Alan Watts, one of his things that he talked about. So the more that you want something, the less likely you are going to get it. The more you do not want something, the more likely you are to get it. So the philosophy of all of that is to simply want something, then let it go. Otherwise, you're going to bring a whole shitstorm on yourself, and it's going to be great.
You're going to get your chest shit on in a heartbeat.
Cleveland Steamer.
Nothing brown, nothing brown. I hear a good way to do that is actually take an image of whatever it is and imagine that image and then literally let it go. Crinkle it up and
So
let it go.
Personify
In your
it and
mind.
choke it to
yeah,
death.
a lot of it is about creating the validity of it. So like using our imagination, like there's a reason why as adults we barely have any imagination left because it is the biggest tool that we have for manifesting things, or if you're one of these people that like magic or some weird stuff. But you're
Why'd you
imagining
look at me? Are you talking about stage magic or magic?
either one.
Okay.
Show
Stage magic
hands.
works too.
Roger.
But you create the image in your mind, and the more perfectly that you can create that image, the more solidity that it has, the easier you can then let it go, because you are no longer fixating on trying to create that image of it in your mind. You have already made it. So then you can let it go.
Especially if you've already kind of got a hold of your ego and, possession-wise, like it comes from what Alan Watts said, backwards law theory, that
I don't know if that's the actual name, so please don't fucking crucify my ass.
yeah. If you love something, you're gonna lose it.
Let it go.
Because it's the possession, and the universe has to balance out that kind of possessiveness in a way. So you are gonna lose it. So if you're okay with losing everything, and you'll still be fine because you're happy, you're all internalized, instead of putting all your love and everything out into the world, because it's just you're gonna lose it. We're not gonna have this TV. I may love this TV, but I'm not gonna have it forever. Eventually, it's gonna break, and I'm gonna have to throw it away. That's kind of where I was going with all that.
Damn.
I do the same thing with my crystals. If I lose one, I'm just kind of like, all right, it went wherever it's supposed to be, so I'm just going to keep going on now.
I left my Moldavite pendant in my Cobalt when I sold it, and I was so upset for like 10 minutes. I was like, you know what? Hopefully somebody will drive that car and get more out of that Moldavite crystal than me. And maybe it'll benefit them and help them in ways that it benefited me.
That's what it's about.
It's a great way to look at it.
Just like, you want to know what else I was thinking about? Speaking of fucking, because I got that when we were in Springfield. Remember when we saved that bird? We cut that bird out of the tree.
I was actually thinking about that like 2 months ago. I'm just like, we saved a fucking bird.
Fucking golden. I told Caleb not to make a post about it, but he did anyways. I try to be low key good person. I don't want to do something good and have my phone in my hand
Filming
recording it. Yeah, like an asshole.
My favorite type of assholes.
Ones that you could watch and make fun of.
Exactly.
This fucking prick.
I didn't know you were into crystals. Do you have any right now?
No, they're locked up in my storage or my safety box.
I get you.
Yeah, in my perspective, in my opinion, I think having crystals and focusing like this crystal does this crystal does this, I think you're separating pieces of your energy and putting them out. Same thing, like what we were just talking about. You're not going to have this crystal forever. You might lose it. It might fall out of your pocket when you sit down in a public chair and it's gone. You might leave it hanging in your rearview mirror when you sell your car. And also, that's kind of what religion does too. You're giving away your energy into either a deity or an object. Go ahead.
So it's like with me carrying my crystals. Each one I carry does different crap. I can't tell you what the exact things are that they do. Don't really know. But I know what I use them for. So I'm not letting what the crystals do define how I am using it. I am defining what they mean to me and what they are used for.
And that
is the difference.
And I totally get Caleb's point of view too. And I agree with Caleb's point of view too. But what helps me and what is better for me is if I try not to give my energy away and I keep it in myself so I can work on myself and grow myself, both physically and mentally.
So it's like you don't want to have to rely on the tools to be able to do it.
Right. If I want to be able to do it myself.
Yeah.
And
I
essentially
get that.
that's kind of what our chakras and everything, because a lot of crystals are representative of chakras. Like there's groups of crystals that help with your root and so on and so forth. It's the same thing. So why would I double down? I'm wasting my energy. I'm just right into.
If you want to open your chakras,
I just named 2 Tool
just think
songs
about
back to back.
That's it. All you got to do is think about it and acknowledge that they're there. You don't actually need the crystals. You don't actually need meditation. All you need is the belief and the acknowledgement of it.
Also, if it helps you, just like with religion, then so be it. Yeah, that's fine.
If the tools help you, use them by all means.
But ideally, you wouldn't need those. And to get back to baseline, and this is all my perspective, but to get back to baseline, baseline doesn't need any tools. Baseline knows exactly, you're following what your higher self is putting in front of you, in my opinion. And see, that's the fucked up thing, is because I don't disagree with Caleb's perspective. I don't necessarily disagree with a religious perspective. It's when you're forcing and telling other people what they can and cannot do, and, initiating violence on otherwise peaceful people. And that's essentially why fuck the government too.
Well, yeah, it's like the biggest reason I even carry my crystals, because when the kids were born, I had so much shit going on that, I didn't have time for, actually just connecting to source or anything. So, I fell out of it for a while. So, stepping back into that, I'm like, I need some fucking tools to help me out here.
Make you feel a whole lot better.
Yeah, and it's just more to remember. Because, if you step out of a state of being, you're not ever going to remember how to get back to where that is unless you were there in that state of being.
Training, working on yourself, working on those mental exercises.
Visual eye tracking videos help a whole lot with video games.
What? Sorry, I blacked out for a
Yeah,
second.
wait,
And I
what'd you
come
say?
back.
So if you get on YouTube, you can look up these visual like eye tracking exercises, and you can watch them. And yeah, it's just watch them. It makes my brain hurt, but it's
So
really
it's like,
neat.
hey, follow the dot.
Yeah, kinda.
Okay.
But there's like different patterns and movements and all kinds.
And
of
what is that
shit.
supposed to help?
It just helps your tracking skills with your eyes and your awareness of things.
And seeing shit in a video game.
Yeah, being able to track people and shoot them is really important in video games.
In video
Clarification
games.
in
In
video
video games.
games.
Let's
Hey,
be real about
remember, no Russian.
I'm always Russian, bro.
Always, if you ain't Russian,
push.
get out the way.
I was speaking of the language, not the
Please get out of the
play
way.
style.
Oh, like Russian?
Yeah, like in Modern
Alex
Warfare.
Terrible.
When you shoot up the whole airport.
Oh, in Modern Warfare
No,
2?
yeah, that's the name of the mission is no Russian. And you're like planted, you're like CIA
How
implanted
fucked up is that?
Dude, that's the
Fucking-
generation of video games we came from,
Yeah.
motherfuckers.
Dude,
Love it.
slaughter the whole airport,
Dude,
bro.
burrito.
And we were just like, fuck yeah.
We're like, yeah.
killing these fucking people at the
Not
airport,
realizing
bro.
we're being conditioned to be war machines in the future robot apocalypse.
Oh, yikes. Just actually watched a movie with Chris Pratt, and that's basically what happens. He has to
Tomorrow
jump
War?
Tomorrow
Yeah,
War.
that shit was pretty good.
That shit was dope. I'm not going to lie.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it was good. And basically
God.
time travel
Yeah.
war, you know what I mean?
It's just crazy how fucking no one questioned what the fuck they were doing.
Oh, even
They
now.
would just do it. I just still
Yep.
think that's wild.
Even like Call of Duty Modern Warfare now, it's all Cold War and stuff like that. We're in a Cold War. It's just a different type of Cold War. You know what I mean? An informational battle.
Also, the Archons can't think of anything new. They just keep giving us, they keep
the Archons.
spoon feeding us the same old bullshit.
Yep, what's the next Call of Duty game? Like fucking World War II?
Yeah.
I think they are doing another one.
Yeah, well, I think it's World War II.
Instead of World at War, it's going to be World in War.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good switch up, Archons.
Fuck. Now, do you guys think we chose to incarnate here? How do you look at the incarnation and reincarnation?
That's what I
type thing?
asked about starseeds, because that's apparently, allegedly, that's what they are. They chose to reincarnate here to try and better the collective consciousness and shit.
I want to say, I know you got something to say on it, but I think everybody chose to be here. Everybody ultimately chooses when they're incarnated, not just certain individuals. But there are individuals that can escape the karmic cycle of incarnation, and therefore, if you do choose to incarnate, you are back in the karmic cycle. Now you have to break the karmic cycle all over again.
So first, I'm going to say fuck the karmic cycle.
Mic drop, I'm out.
I agree with what you're saying, but I don't think it's a karmic cycle. Once we die, we step back to who we are, our higher mind or whatever, and we can go do whatever the hell that we want. But for whatever reason, we're like, no, I didn't get it this time around. I'm going back. And everyone's like, no, don't go back. I'm going back.
I'm
so
going one
yeah,
more
then
time
we just
around this
incarnate back.
Like Roy.
Yeah, so
You know
we
what
choose.
you know what I'm talking about? Roy, the Rick and Morty.
Oh,
Okay. Do you think that, to sum up, do you think that we're in an ancestor simulation? Kind of, in a way,
we're in a dream.
of our real selves,
We're in a dream.
of our
Like
soul,
Inception?
like a soul dream, or like there's a physical us outside.
Well, there's all
of
those
us?
dreams too happening. I mean, it's all one moment. Everything is occurring in one moment. So it's like I'll be one of those Christian people and talk, like put it like heaven. So we're already in heaven, right? And we're having a dream about having a life on Earth.
Hell.
Sure. I mean, in a way, it really is. But our point is that we're having a dream. So it's whenever we die here, we wake up from that dream. And then when we go back to sleep, we can choose to have a dream about that place again. because they're non-physical. Up there, you are connected to everything all the time. You can do whatever the hell you want. You can go make your own physical reality that is just as real as this one. Almost.
Close.
So my point is we all choose to come back here. Now, as for like the star seeds or whatever, do I think that beings that are much further along in their progression of consciousness as their true selves are actually choosing to purposely come back here now when they have no need to? Yes.
To influence our civilization.
Yes, because if you look at the amount of gateway days that have occurred in the last 4 years, it is absolutely insane. And those gateway days allow for high amounts of energy to come into our reality and just kind of like flood the planet.
So it's basically days in which the frequency is peaked.
Yes, because I mean, us coming back, we're using a certain amount of the Earth's energy to incarnate over and over and over and over again. So when you have something that needs a little bit more energy to be able to incarnate back and use more of that energy to remember all of these things from the non-physical phenomena, they need a large power source to be able to hold on to all of it when they come back here. And I think that's what star seed people are.
And also it's crazy because a lot of the times we're just talking about like Earth, but this is happening on other planets with other beings and other civilizations billions of times.
So
as many intelligent species there are in the universe.
If you look up a dude named Cryon on YouTube, he's channeled by Lee Carroll, right?
Yeah, I believe
Lee
that's his
Carroll.
name.
So he talks about a little bit of what they do in helping all kinds of planets all throughout our solar system, or all of our galaxy, our entire galaxy, because we have hundreds of billions of suns. Like they're everywhere. And
Infinite, countless.
So
We don't know.
This same process that we are going through now has happened infinitely, all throughout whichever way you would like to perceive time. And some of them make it into stepping back into the balance with non-physical reality, and some of them don't. So it's kind of up to us on which way we go.
Every possibility. Because if the universe is ultimately numbers and math,
3.
and everything, I think you and me, when we were having that, when we were talking about ego and Marvel and shit, and how we're a manifestation of the Earth, and how these other beings are manifestations of their planet. Because, like, how could Saturn bring something? And I was talking about maybe Moloch is an actual being. Like, we are actual beings of Earth. Moloch is an actual being of Saturn. Anyways, what was I talking about?
Technically, none of it exists outside of what we allow to exist. So
It doesn't.
We are manifestations, and they are manifestations of themselves in a way.
What were we talking about before I got on that?
I don't know.
Do you remember? Shit.
Cocaine.
Clapton.
Before that, I thought that's what we were talking about. I think we're incarnating. You asked, do you think we choose to incarnate to come on Earth? And then we went down that little rabbit hole.
You're talking about something we were talking about the other day.
Is something about the Marvel thing and their symbolism.
Red Skull, dude?
No, we were talking about that earlier when we were talking about the Nazis having that secret team that went around.
Ego? That dude you talking about? Star-Lord's dad?
Fuck, dude, I don't know. Oh, well. God damn it. I knew that was going to happen, and I was trying to give that little back spiel. It happens every fucking time. But
You read that article about the Germans running scientific experiments where they're leaving kids with pedophiles?
Yeah, I did.
No.
Saw you post it. I
Yeah.
didn't look at it, though.
That shit's wild, bro. Since like the 70s.
okay, can you explain that to us?
Basically running experiments where they were taking foster kids and leaving them with
Known
pedophiles.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. And that's what it. And up until the 2000s, I mean,
what were they experimenting?
they were. Their suggestions or theories were that it wasn't a bad thing if
They didn't get abused.
yeah, basically.
So they knowingly, you said the FBI, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the FBI knowingly put these foster kids into foster homes with known pedophiles to gauge if the abuse would escalate or not. As far as if those kids, what are the odds of those kids being abused if they were in a home with a pedophile?
And then if they
and
turned
that
or
was
something,
German experience.
if like they
So
themselves,
it wasn't FBI, it's whoever,
Mm-hmm.
the German intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay.
What were you saying, Austin?
Try to find that.
so it's like, were they studying the pedophiles or the children?
I think the whole experiment in general, but it was basically to see if the traumatic experience for the kid would carry on.
And then they'd become pedophiles. I get it. Okay. That's what I was wondering. Interesting.
Hey, here's the article. German Pedo Project: How a Psychologist Manipulated Courts to Keep Children in Homes of Pedophile Men in a State-Endorsed Experiment. The Berlin city-state government in the early 1970s ratified and bankrolled a perverse experiment conducted by psychology professor Helmut Kindler, wherein homeless children in West Berlin were intentionally placed with pedophile men, some of whom had a criminal background. A report recently published in the New Yorker revealed. The experiment, which later came to be dubbed as Kindler's Project, involved placing youth with known pedophiles. Kindler, a homosexual man himself, believed that it would provide emotionally traumatized teens with a social anchor while giving the pedophiles an opportunity to become loving foster parents.
Fuck that, dude.
Dude, what the fuck? What kind of reverse psychology bullshit is that? The practice went on for decades, starting in the 1970s to the early 2000s. The pedophile foster fathers even received a regular care allowance. Holy shit.
Seriously,
That's fucked up.
Sexual contact between adults and teens is harmless was an article of faith for Helmut Kindler, a psychologist who was at a leading position at Berlin Center for Educational Research at the time of the experiment. Berlin State Senate authorized and financed custody of homeless teens to pedophilic predators. The report sheds light on how the German government intentionally and knowingly sent foster children to homes managed by pedophiles. This just goes into detail. God damn, bro.
Yeah, disgusting shit, my guy. Seriously fucked.
Here, I scrolled down a little bit. When an investigation was launched into the matter, Helmut Kindler came to his rescue. This must have been when some abuse was reported. Helmut Hitler came to his rescue, describing himself as Henkel's permanent advisor and vouching for him in front of the authorities. Kindler had then been the country's foremost authority on sexual education. The investigation was subsequently suspended. Henkel's case file revealed he had been helped by Kindler on multiple occasions. Okay, what the fuck is... Oh, this is where this is coming from. The latest report published in the New Yorker narrates the ordeal of one of the victims of the project, Marco, who was forced to live with a 47-year-old pedophile named Henkel. When he started fostering children in 1973, a teacher observed that he was always looking for establishing contact with boys. 6 years later, one of the caseworkers found that Henkel was in a homosexual relationship with one of his foster sons.
Yikes.
Wow.
Seriously, fuck.
Dude, this is a long-ass article. I'll post this to our Facebook.
Seriously fucked.
Fucking wild.
How do you think this experience affects us in the higher state of being when we go to
Ooh, that's a good
the
one.
ultimate?
That's a good question.
It's a great question. I don't know.
How it affects us once we're back to our higher mind, it most likely won't. I mean, they choose to have this. Okay, this is I'm probably going to get a lot of shit for this. but it is what it is. We choose all the experiences that we are going to have, every single one of them, for whatever reason that our higher mind or our true self needs to have in order to grow as a person. But in saying that, it also means like all of the horribly bad shit that happens to people, they chose in some way for it to happen to them. Now, I'm not saying that shit, like, none of it should happen. Like, the pedophile shit, hell no. That
Right.
should not ever be
Absolutely
a thing.
not.
No one should ever have to go through that, period. No. But I have to also acknowledge it on the most base level that whatever they go through was needed for them to eventually grow as a person. And again, I will never say that like somebody being raped or pedophile is like a good thing, but everything that happens to you, you're labeling it as good or bad. You have to choose how you come out of it. It's like when you were in your accident, how you chose to come out of it.
Right.
Please don't fucking burn my house down
Yeah,
or something,
right.
everybody.
Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Yeah, I think it probably does affect our higher self in some way, whether it be like minute or it be, an actual experience that needed to happen. I don't know, but I'm sure at some level it does affect us. I mean, there's way too much trauma out there for it not to,
Yeah, I think it could probably go both ways.
Yeah.
Or it could just be like how he was saying, we choose everything that happens to us at the higher plane. Is that what you would call it? A higher plane? In order for us to grow, and then we ultimately get back there, and then we're like, well, fuck it, let's do it again. And we just keep doing it. Just because I really like Alan Watts, and he's kind of a big thing in like, this shit's all a game. Like,
Right.
you can choose to have a bad time or you can choose to have a good time, because ultimately you're going to wake up and realize it was just a game. And that's kind of, I really like that dude.
Yeah, I like Alan Watts a lot. He's an insightful guy. Brilliant.
Another good guy to listen to is Manly P. Hall. He's a huge esotericist and occultist that was one of the top Masons at the time. And Jordan Maxwell says he knew Manly P. Hall personally and got a lot of his books after he died. He sent them to him.
Did he get killed or did he just die?
I think he just died.
Okay.
I think he was so high up in Freemasonry that he was untouchable pretty much, and that's why he was able to have these lectures. And that's where a lot of these recordings come from, is from lectures at events. Dude, and
if you guys have Spotify, just look up Manly P. Hall, because he's got like hours and hours and hours of lectures on there.
And you might think he's full of shit. You're listening to him, but he was also one of the head Freemasons in the early 1900s. He's a very powerful and influential guy, and he's saying this is where we get a lot of our information about esotericism from, are guys like Manly P. Hall, because they are able to frame it in a way that is able to be communicated. Like Terence McKenna, when it comes to psychedelics, the way they just put it into words is like, wow, I never would have thought about it like that. But Terence McKenna is the only person I've been able to listen to that actually can explain a trip,
Can actually articulate
right the
what
feelings
the fuck
and the
is going
visuals and everything else.
Because they do take you to a different state, a different plane.
David, I asked Caleb, his craziest trip was DMT. What was your craziest trip?
Probably psychedelics. Just
well, which one? Like, which
just
specific time?
Well, I'm not going to get into specifics, but what my experience was definitely a different plane. It was a lot of deep colors, a lot of deep reds, purples, a lot of deep reds. I didn't have anything talk to me necessarily, but there was other beings around. I could feel and see other beings around, but they weren't. Their colors were still so red and dark that you can only see outlines of them, to be honest. And it was a experience of where I was here on this plane, and then I was there.
Somewhere else. Just somewhere else, right?
Yep. Yeah. To the point where you would come back and you would sit there and you would wonder if what you had said, you had actually said, or if you said it in your head.
Or if what you're seeing is actually what you're seeing.
So then you're asking the other people that are tripping, did I just say that? And
I need confirmation, boys.
But then they don't know either. So that was, like I said, I'm not going to get into specifics, but that was my experience. Actually, the most profound one I've had, though, is one you would call a bad trip, I guess. And it was just the shedding of the ego. Things started I started to understand the building blocks of my problems or issues I was having with asking for help or asking, for example, my mom to help me use a catheter or something like that. Getting over those hurdles. When I had the bad trip, it was, I felt the need of, we are a team. We are a group of people that need each other. And I needed my mama, you know what I mean, to be real with you.
I got you.
It was that type of, but then immediately was able to get myself together, if you would say, as soon as able to talk to her, and things started to make sense. At that same time, the scene in Girl Goes Down the Rabbit Hole,
Alice in
Wonderland. Yeah, where they're on the checkered board and the board cracks in half, and the red and the black the cards are fighting each other. The world started to make sense. That it doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are, it doesn't matter who you are, what you are.
You're still a card on the same board.
You're still a card on this board. And the world is a stage, and we're just perceiving it. Man, like I said, some might consider it a bad trip, but because it was...
You got something good from it that automatically changed it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really what... we had talked about why you haven't done mushrooms. Or why you're kind of hesitant.
Yeah.
Is because you don't want to have a bad trip, or you think it won't be fun. And it's like, well, it's not supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
Can it be fun if you're going about it in the right way? Yeah, you can have fun on it. But that's not its sole purpose. Your sole purpose should be, I always kind of tell myself, whenever because you feel it, especially when you eat mushrooms, you feel it starting to, you start feeling really high. And you're like, okay, we're about to take off in a dick-shaped spacecraft. Thanks, Jeff Bezos, you fucking asshole.
It looked like a dick.
It looked like a dick. Fuck. But I always tell myself, I repeat it in my head, just tell me or show me what I need to be shown or told. Just whatever I got to know is just lay it on me. And then usually that's when I actually have a fun trip.
When you accept it, you're just whatever.
Because what I'm doing is eliminating expectation.
And insistence.
Right. I'm not insisting that I be shown something profound. Therefore, okay, he's at least gotten some of the point. We can let him have some fun this time. The last time I did mushrooms, had a horrible trip.
That was the one where you got in your fight?
Yeah, well, me and my old lady got into a little spat because she was pregnant and she couldn't trip and she wanted to trip. And I was like, fuck you, I'm going to go eat some mushrooms. And I got over to David's and he went to bed early. So I was left laying on the couch in the dark watching Planet Earth, having the worst trip of my life. And it was just like kaleidoscope, like a panoramic picture. Like if you roll down a hill, have you ever seen those?
Yeah.
It was like that, but a dark carnival.
See
like
clowns, bro?
like an evil Rob Zombie type carnival.
Fuck
And
that.
I'm not. These two can vouch
On a
for
scale
me.
of 1 to
I
10,
don't
how
do
scared were
clowns.
you?
The first like 2 hours, I was scared, and then I had this realization that the mushrooms are trying to tell me something. It's not that I'm scared. I'm scared of what they're trying to tell me, and I'm not willing to face what the mushrooms themselves, because that's something kind of like a philosophy I got from Terrence McKenna, is that when you're interacting with these beings on these different drugs or on these different substances, that you're interacting with the spirit of the substance. And because mushrooms and weed are of the earth, they have their own consciousness to them.
So it's like mixing with your consciousness?
They're communicating with you.
Yeah.
Because fungus is extremely intelligent, extremely advanced as far as the mycelium mats.
I got one.
Go ahead.
So with mushrooms and using them to connect or communicate with spirits or beings or anything, you can see like the fairy ring stories of, the mushroom circles that people have used to communicate with the fey creatures or elementals for the longest time. And you're not actually speaking to those spirits. You are speaking to the mushrooms that are in that circle. They are your medium, your, what's the word I'm looking for?
Matrix
Translator.
supervisor.
Yeah.
Right.
A translator for those spirits to be able to communicate to you. It's just like in channeling, you're creating a separate personality, a blank slate in your mind for you and that higher being to communicate through. And so people using shrooms are kind of tapping into that.
A gateway, a path.
Gateway of it.
Yeah.
Right. Those plants, in this case the fungi are the portal to this ethereal realm. Because on good trips, you aren't having internal thoughts, or you're not having internal pictures like that. It was just my situation and the lesson that I clearly needed to be taught in that moment. That's the only way they could get it across to me, because most of the time my eyes were closed. When usually I'm tripping, I'm talking with my friends and watching movies and, having a good time. Never going out into public. Fuck that shit. But, yeah.
Why do you say that? What's up with going out in public?
Because you're so sensitive to energy and frequencies, and your empathy and compassion are super high, and that's just a physical side effect of this elevated frequency. Go ahead.
You're literally just vibrating at a
Super
higher rate. So any energy that comes around you, it's like if you've ever taken shrooms and then somebody walks in and they're sober and it's just like a blank spot in the fucking room where they are, like nothing makes sense about them being there.
That
It's
happened.
because it's like a void, because you're at this level of frequency or reality and they're at an entirely different one. So when they walk in, it's just like a holy fuck, okay, yeah.
You could tell they're sober just by looking at them.
That's how I caught my dad doing shrooms one time. I walked into his house. Yeah, I'd probably eaten, probably like 3 or 4 grams of shrooms. And I decided to walk back across town all the way to my dad's house for whatever reason. So I walk inside. So him and his buddy Kim are sitting on the couch. So I look at him. I'm like,
That looks right.
yeah, reality looks normal right now. So I'm like, did you guys take some shrooms? And they're like, did you take some shrooms?
Oh, no.
I was like, yes.
That happened to me in my very first trip. I was with a couple of my college buddies, and we were sitting in a triangle in his living room, and I was sitting in the middle between them, right? But in a triangle. So the half of the room where my friend that was tripping was beautiful. The other half, dull as fuck. Had nothing interesting going on about it. because he was sober. He had actually eaten before we taken him, so it was just taking longer for them to kick in. But me and my boy, we were already to the moon and back by the time this motherfucker started tripping, and the whole time it's like, it was weird.
Void.
No, and
Yeah,
I
that's
spasm. I have such crazy spasms.
Dude,
It's unreal. Which they say is the septum, which is your lower hip, where your connects into your hip and your spinal cord, is vibrating loose, and that is releasing the psilocybin and stuff throughout your body.
just trying to relax.
Does it feel good? Do you feel anything?
It's exhausting.
Really?
Yeah, it's exhausting.
Dude,
Takes every ounce of energy out of you. I mean, the chair is rocking, dog. It is
Oh, shit.
seriously.
Bro,
I am not joking.
he was fucking with me so hard one day. We were eating, and I was sitting on the floor, like right next to him, and his legs started spasming. And I looked up at him, I was like, are you doing that, or is that the mushrooms? Like, your legs are moving, bro. The fucking...
start out like that, and then
He will literally, his leg will straighten out
What the fuck? Dude?
and like kick you in the face if you're sitting in front of him.
Damn. So
It's
do you
wild,
think,
bro.
Do you think there could be something with mushrooms and maybe fucking reconnecting your?
We've already talked about that, and science has shown that psilocybin, the main psychoactive ingredient,
Rewires your brain.
and your neural networks,
Yeah.
which is fucking crazy. Especially if your homeboy is in a wheelchair and he almost kicks you in the face, it makes you go, "What the fuck?"
If you use it to rewire your brain, I mean,
Microdose, right?
and weird, crazy crackpot theory, your body would just start to heal itself because your brain would think that it was healed.
Well, I'm starting to wonder, going off of Caleb's point there, why aren't you a lizard yet, bro?
Be a lizard.
I'm trying, bro. I'm trying to shed the skin, my guy.
I got another question for you, Caleb. So, do you think like when you take DMT or mushrooms that you are like, do you think you could be like contacting other beings on a higher, like on the highest plane? Do you think that's what that could be? Because I know how you were talking about the what did you call those? The mushroom beings. What were they?
The fae, the fairies, they're fairy circles.
The other started with the E. The elementals. That's what you're talking about.
Yes. So, Bashar's explained this one too, and I guess I'll explain it the same way, and hopefully he doesn't sue me because he
By
likes
the
to
way,
make money.
like Cryon and Bashar are the only
They're my favorite
the
channelers.
only two channelers that I give any sort of weight behind.
So
And once you listen to them, you'll understand why. Go ahead.
So our reality vibrates at a certain density. So it's kind of like, you can think of it like a thick sheet of plastic that's just kind of wrapped around us. We'll go there. So when you take things like shrooms or DMT or even acid or whatever kind of hallucinogen you want to take, you start vibrating at such a rate that plasticness that's around our planet or our reality begins to thin, and it gets really elastic. So other beings from, the fourth dimension or the fifth dimension or whatever, I mean, all the way up to however fucking many they are, can kind of push through it like you'd be pushing through the elasticity of it to be able to communicate to you. But when they do that, they're going to take a form of something that our mind can comprehend. So like spirit animals or things like that.
A loved one or, somebody like
I mean,
something like
so
that.
like when you see like stories of like certain houses that we think are haunted actually just have a really high energy output in that area.
Which is measured.
Yeah, so we can actually measure that. So every now and then, I mean, like our loved ones, if they have moved on to, back up there, whenever we die, we'll be right back there with them. I mean, they might have already started another reality here to experience, but they're still there. So when you get into these high energy spots and you do something like DMT or any of that, they can tap into that elasticity and push through and communicate with you.
Yeah, different bands.
Yeah, different levels of the frequencies
Layers.
and stuff. Yeah, layers.
like an
Ogres
onion.
are like onions.
It also makes me wonder then, because so many different religions are, say, Earth is the middle realm, Midgard.
You can go up or down.
You can go up or down, and they say that with the we were talking about the chakras earlier, and the middle plane is Earth, and that's where your heart is, going up and down. So that makes me wonder if it is a plane, and these beings are coming down or they're coming up, are they just using Midgard as a pathway?
Like a jump off point?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Because it depends on what they were trying to do.
State.
I
Fly
think-
over planet.
Yeah, I think
fly
the
over
shows
dimension.
talked about it too. That our planet is used as like a travel place. Like people come and go from here all the time, from up or down. Like it's always here. But I mean, we also have an infinite amount of parallel realities, and you change one tiny piece of that main frequency, and all of a sudden you're in a reality where aliens live here. So
Guardians of the Galaxy, bro.
some shit like that.
Oh, man. Can I tell you about my craziest trip? Caleb's talked about DMT. David's talked about, we've all kind of talked about mushrooms. My craziest trip was acid. Like the most profound trip was on acid, which is crazy because we prefer mushrooms just because that's it's a spiritual thing, right? With mushrooms, because the earth spirit and blah blah blah. Well, actually, David, you said that your realization with your mom and how we're a community came from that night. So that was an acid trip. Meanwhile, while David's having this super emotional realization when it comes to the love and compassion that we all need to share, and he loves his mommy, I'm over there standing in a fucking desert. I'm standing in a desert. The skies, to put it into words, it was like the Mortal Kombat sky.
So it was like red.
No, it was like stormy and
okay.
lightning, and it was super, like stormy ambiance and shit. Well, leading up to that, because with mushrooms and acid, the trip hits you in waves. So you're going up and down, but you keep going higher and higher every time until you peak.
That's how reality works.
Right. And then you come down the exact same way. You keep peaking and falling until you're sober. But with acid, it takes 24 hours, and it's brutal as fuck. That come down is why I don't like acid. But this trip, leading up to that, we were listening to Tool the whole fucking time. Not a good idea, because I kept asking if we were watching a video, and we weren't.
It was a still picture.
It was a
but
still
that
picture
bitch was
with the
moving.
music playing, and it was like we were traveling through the tunnel with these pillars of faces, and it's like, fuck you, Maynard.
I couldn't handle it no more, dog.
No, dude, it was ridiculous. But everything I looked at, the 3D effect when you put on the red and blue 3D goggles, if you don't have the goggles on, it's just like an image.
Like red and blue.
Red and blue is separated out. That's how everything looked. So I close my eyes. I'm peeking at this point. I close my eyes, and I'm standing in a desert with this Mortal Kombat sky. It's all thunderstormy and shit. There's like a big-ass ridge along my left, and up in the distance is this tower. It was a tower, but it was all moving. It was all mechanical, gears and blades and all this other shit. And the first thing that came to my mind was, holy fuck, this is like the pillar of creation.
What do you mean?
On one plane, it's because I'm a mechanical type person. My profession is about machines, machinery, and I've grown up around cars my whole life. At the same time, the universe kind of operates in the way that this tower was, as everything is more mechanical than what we think because of quantum physics. Everything is in constant mesh with each other. And that's how my subconscious was trying to teach me of the nature of reality in that moment. So it was like this download of information when I saw it. And then when I came back down, I never went back. So once I hit the bottom of that wave and I came out and I was back in David's room, I never went back there. It was crazy. And then I started tripping out and telling him, I was like, bro, you're not going to fucking believe this shit. You're not going to, somebody help me wrap my head around. Because I'm so used to tripping and how mushroom trips are, that you don't hallucinate. You don't see shit that's not there. It's the shit that's there is what gets all contorty and fucky and shit. Mm-hmm. And to be in a completely different place that was reminiscent of an astral projection that me and Caleb have astral projected before. I've brought it up before on the show that was one of the main things that I was like, hey, you need to show me something before I believe in this wholeheartedly. And it was just a series of events that got me down this road. So it was more reminiscent of an astral projection than it was of a trip, and it really fucking burned that image in my head. And yeah, that was my craziest trip.
I forced you into our trip.
Yeah.
That day, that night, whatever the fuck I did. Yeah. Justin lost his mind for a little bit.
Well, because this happens to everybody, especially in America, when we were raised by a generation. I was raised by my grandparents who were really old school, Christian kind of household. So my personality constructs were completely destroyed. Everything, you get to this point where you realize everything you've been taught is a lie, and then you have to rebuild. And a lot of people go crazy.
Foundation.
A lot of people go crazy in that moment, in that time of their life, because they're just scrounging for shit to rebuild with. It's only when you plant your feet firm and realize, okay, this is what I got to do. I got to seek the truth, and your foundation comes back bigger and stronger than before, because now it's built on truth instead of a false dichotomy, a false reality. It's not built within the matrix no more. So yeah. Plus that goes back into some other shit. I used to think a demon was haunting me, and if you listen to it, Caleb says it in the I think it may have been the Hermeticism episode, the Minotaur, because I used to see I call it the Minotaur just because that's the first thing that came to my mind when I saw it, but who knows what it really was. I used to see it, a reflection of me, is what now I've kind of reconciled. But I used to see it in the corner of my room whenever I was, like 12, 13, 14 years old. And it used to be in the corner of my room. And then we had gotten into it about, I want to know what it wants, or what it is, what it wants. And that's what started the co-meditation, which then blew my fucking mind. And it's weird to talk about, but then it's like I can't just dismiss it because it completely altered my life. Whether it happened that way or not, it still changed me for the better.
Purple pill.
Yeah.
Did you see what he saw as well when you co-meditated?
So when we were co-meditating, let me explain it real quick. We were just sitting there. We had a candle on the coffee table, and we were just sitting there meditating. It's not like we were trying to do any sort of ritual. I just wanted to see if anything would present itself. Well, with your eyes closed, and there's only one candle, you could see the flicker of the candle, even with your eyes closed. Yeah. Well, it started becoming... What we were doing was we were visualizing our energy circling through the both of us, in one hand, out the other, into the other. It was circling between the two of us. And then that's when the flicker of the candle became steady, like boom, 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 boom. And then I started seeing shit within whenever the light would flick on. I would see outlines. And then I started seeing the outline of the Minotaur in the flicker, this bull thing, which kind of ties into Moloch and shit like that. And then I started seeing it, and then it boom like a Jack in the Box. It popped the Minotaur like a manga, like Yu-Gi-Oh. You know, like the manga dragons, a cartoon. Yeah. It was just like that. Boom! It popped out of the box, and that's when I was outside of my body. I went upstairs. I don't know what was I was just observing, and this shit was going on like autonomously. I went up the stairs and saw my ex. She was pregnant with my firstborn at the time. She was walking out of the bathroom and getting into bed. And there was a satyr standing in the doorway.
What's that?
A satyr is half man, half goat that feeds on the souls of children in mythology.
Fuck.
So it was like gray. It was like a gray color, like a gray-green. And I was standing behind it. And it turned around and looked at me, had red eyes. It turned around and looked at me and like, what the fuck are you doing here? And then, boom, I snapped back into my body.
Holy.
Yeah. So, since then,
dog.
Dude, what
since then, I don't fuck around with that shit. I have experienced
like
it
the
firsthand.
meditating thing?
Astral projection. Because unless you practice it and you're willing to put aside that fear of what may happen, because there's beings in those realities that can affect you in this one, just like with the satyr. Yeah, it could be all coincidence, but I didn't even know what a satyr was.
You just Googled it and you found out?
Yeah.
Some shit? Damn.
And,
that's wild.
And
bro.
my ex was pregnant with Avery at the time. So then it was like, holy fuck.
Did you like do any like preventative fucking...
Well, I told Caleb, because when I snapped back into my body, that's what broke the meditation.
Yeah.
And I told Caleb what happened and told him about everything from start to finish. And he goes, okay, well, I'm going to work on cleaning the house then. And then the next day we went to the Wiccan store, bought all sorts of sage and all sorts of cleansing shit, cleansed the house, and then...
Never looked back.
Yeah, dude. Everything was cool for the most part.
That's trippy, bro.
Yeah, that's...
Dude, yeah, it was wild.
That is wild.
I never really told anybody that story, and now I'm telling it to 30 fucking countries. What the hell?
Purple pill, bro.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
But the point is, one point you could take away from that is there are realities that far exceed this one. In between, up, down, left, right, all areas. And this shit's out there, but if you choose to go down that path of the adventurer, you need to be armed with the right knowledge and the right information to handle yourself and conduct yourself in these realities.
And the willpower to do it.
And the willpower to do it and not become enslaved to these beings as well, because they can do that. Look at demons. Mm-hmm. I'm really looking forward to our demonology episode. Caleb's probably going to be back on for that one.
Fuck.
Because we've been interested in that since before we even knew about spirituality.
Demonology is what originally started me on my spiritual journey all the way through it. And if you ever want to know what I did to you that night, I finally have an actual understanding.
Let's hear it. Let's tell everybody, bro. You got, like, I don't know, a few hundred people,
yeah, that's
I guess.
fine. So basically all I did was when our energies were circling, I took my energy and I created a space within that circling energy that would allow you to basically bypass your limitations or your beliefs and step into an actual new belief of you being able to astral project or see these things. So all I did was give you the opportunity to see or do what you needed to do to get the answers that you needed. So my image was literally just an absolute blank space.
You gave him...
That's what I created.
Right, and that's what you said, is that you knew the energy was circling because you could feel it, but you didn't experience anything. Because you were anchoring me to this reality.
The space for you to do it.
See, that's wild, bro.
I think one of the wildest parts is you said it was a fucking satyr that was there, and you didn't know what the fuck that was.
I didn't know what it was. Like I knew.
So it's not like you were reading books about shit, and you might have just like seen something in a memory or some shit.
The imagery is in this reality. Look at Hercules. Danny DeVito's character in Hercules is a satyr, but it didn't look like that at all. It was like its dark cousin.
Coming into contact with beings such as that, they are not going to look anything like you would actually expect them to look like.
It was more like a anthropomorphic goat than it was half man, half goat. It had like the hands. It was mostly goat, but it had like the hands and like the torso and arms and stuff of a man, but the head of a goat and the bottom half of a goat. It didn't have a human face with horns. It was a goat.
So
and
like
that's also in
Baphomet.
Like a Baphomet.
Yeah. That's fucking weird, bro.
It's fucking wild, bro.
Yeah.
I got something, but
now,
it's got to be for this demonology episode.
You sure? You sure you ain't gonna want to share it?
Yeah, I'll share it, but not. We're getting ready to wrap up.
No, let's go ahead and let's leave off on what you got to say, bud.
All right. So this was at my parents' house. This was probably when I was in like high school, I'd say. I don't know, so probably like 16 through 18 years old. It was like a winter night, and my room had a big window, like a pretty fucking big window. I'd probably say like 8 by 7 feet, and it's all one big window. And the bottom had curtains, but the top was like a crescent and is open. And then my room faced the street light, so it was like lit up and I could see. So I'm like dozing off, falling asleep, and then this is the first experience I've had with sleep paralysis. This is the very first one. So I'm like, I can't move. I'm like looking around my room, and then like I look up into that window, and there's this fucking dark figure smiling at me. Like I saw his fucking teeth, like white teeth. He was smiling at me. And I was like, what the fuck? I started to freak out a little bit and trying to like wake up. I eventually wake up and I get up. I like go get a glass of water, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? I was like, whatever. Try to shake it off. I think probably around like an hour, 2 hours later, I end up like going to sleep again. And then the same night later, I don't know what time it was because I was like so fucking freaked out. I don't even think I fell back asleep after this shit. I wake up and I look up, and there's that same fucking figure is right in front of my face. Ooh. And he's fucking pulling something out of my mouth. Black shit. Like, this shit was so fucking weird, dog. And he's like, I'm like fighting him. Like, I can feel him fucking like pulling. And I'm like, I don't know. The only thing I could think of was, I'm not letting you take me. Like, I'm not letting you have it. Whatever it is, I don't know what the fuck it was.
Some Harry Potter.
It could be tar out of my lungs. I don't want you having it, motherfucker.
I don't know. I was like, I'm not letting you have it. And like, we were fighting, and then I eventually like fucking woke up and everything went away. And I was just like, what the fuck, dog?
The only time you ever experienced anything like that?
Well, I told you about the other one, about the fucking predator invisible dude above me. Yeah. I don't know if it's the same thing. But I mean, every time I have sleep paralysis, I see something, for sure.
That's wild that you have that.
Dude,
in general, like, fuck, man.
That shit fucked me up. I was like, what the fuck, bro?
And not just once, but several times.
Well, that was the scariest by far.
But still.
This dude pulling some
totally
shit
understandable.
out of my mouth.
What movie is that? The Conjuring or Insidious?
I think, is it the fucking...
when he's like...
Yeah.
When they're like communicating with the dead people in the house, and it's like the ectoplasm.
It's the Haunting in Connecticut.
Haunting in Connecticut.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That's what. Yeah.
Caleb, explain to this man what was going on, or what you may think was happening, and what this thing that he keeps dealing with is. Because you just had a sleep paralysis moment just like a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah, I'd probably say 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Does this man gotta sleep with a roll of sage in his butt?
No. First and foremost, when we have experiences like this, they are both real and not real. You are the cause of the experience. So what you are experiencing or what Justin experienced or what I have experienced with astral projection, that experience is a reflection of you in some way. So when it comes to a demon being face to face with you trying to rip something out of your absolute soul, first thing I would do is question why. But it was more than likely an interpretation of you wrestling with something bigger than yourself or some aspect of life that you are having a hard time dealing with. And you are, when we dream, we're tapping into everything. Yeah. So you are manifesting that in the most realist way possible so it becomes absolutely real to you so that you can acknowledge it and deal with it. And you could also just fucking elbow drop that thing into oblivion and tell it to fuck off.
My dreams, after that moment with him, my dreams, and not just like my dreams, I'm talking about the dreams where I'm fully conscious, like when I'm lucid dreaming.
I'm on a boat.
Yeah. I told you about this, right?
So when we have dreams, lucid dreams mainly, about us being on, vessels like ships, boats, cars, airplanes, like any form of like mobile craft, your brain is interpreting something for you. You are consciously or spiritually or your astral form is on a ship somewhere.
That is real in some reality of yours.
Yes, you are actually communicating with other beings at that point. Your brain cannot fully fathom that, or your consciousness is not ready for that actual contact yet. So it interprets it as, being on a boat, on a lake or something, in a way that you can understand, in a way that you can kind of remember, because you're not going to remember the whole conversations that you had with them until you're consciously ready for it. But those dreams will give you little tidbits of information that you can kind of look at and see to try and figure out what that conversation was.
For example, ever since then, if I have a lucid dream, I see a white bull. I haven't experienced the in air quotes minotaur. I'm talking about a bull, like a cow.
It's your anchor.
Right.
So, like when I was talking about my tiger's eye, that imagery, that white bull is your imagery to allow you to become conscious within the dream.
So now every time I'm having a lucid dream and the bull references itself in that imagery, in my dream, how it manifests itself is like a house banner. It's a maroon banner with the white bull on it. And the first time I had a dream, I was on a canoe. This was like old world type shit, like medieval. And I'm just drifting through like Venice, like how the streets are waterways. Mm-hmm. It's like that, but it's all gloomy and foggy. And it stops next to this structure. It's just like and it looks Roman, like old world shit. And I get off because that's where it stopped. I get out, and it's covered in these house banners. And it's just me standing there. And I keep talking to it like, what the fuck is going on, dude? Like, okay, I feel more comfortable that you're here because it's me. But can you at least say something because you're creeping me the fuck out?
You said that to the structure?
To me. Because I'm standing. I get off the boat and I'm looking at me.
Oh, shit.
But like a separate me. And he's just looking at me. He doesn't say anything. And then the dream's over. So now every time I have a lucid dream,
the white bull.
I see the white bull. Most of the time, it's a house banner. So if you ever see me with that kind of tattoo or that kind of thing in my house, it's because that's where I got the idea, is from the dream realm, this astral realm.
I got you.
That totally changed my life. It was a factor that played into my life, into P3 even being here right now.
Absolutely.
Can you make anything an anchor? Yeah.
But see, what made it so easy is because Caleb was my anchor, and me and him we have a bond. You know, there's a trust there that goes beyond just him fingering my butt.
Right, tip to tip.
Right.
Caleb, I might need to get your number later.
You see them long, bony Skeletor fingers? They work magic, bro. Not only in the dream world, but in your prostate as well. All right. You know, I think this is like 3 hours, guys.
Yeah, Gabe's got his work cut out for this one.
Yeah, he's going to hate us.
bastard.
He's got to edit all that bullshit.
Good luck.
Good for you, buddy. Love you.
Yeah.
Hope you had fun on your vacation. I think he went on a float trip with his family, so hopefully that went good.
Hell yeah.
So I think that's it for this week. Anybody got anything they want to add?
Nope.
No, good shit. Please like, share,
Yeah.
comment, guys.
Yeah, feel
Let
free
us
to
know what's good.
let us know.
Feedback.
Yeah, we'd appreciate it.
We'll save that for the next time. There we go. All right, guys. Until next
All right,
week.
everybody.
Yeah, love you guys.
Thanks for
Purple
tuning
pill.
in.
Love
you
you.
guys. Peace.